comment, have it be on this agenda only.
This is,
And if it's
this
a,
is the building program.
It's to, yes, the building program and budget.
so if you have comments about the building and program and budget, then now would be the time. If you have other comments relevant to the other agenda, we'll have another session.
And the building program's on the other.
It is too,
session as
you can do
well.
it then too. It's your choice, we'll listen to you now or we'll listen to you then.
The only thing I would say, I'm Linda Atlas, is remember, it must have been, wasn't it in 2012, when the rural library district took, remember the building plans and went to Prescott and presented them? And that was for like $750,000 a building. I'm just saying, just remember that back in 2012, we had all these big building plans, and we went to Touchy, remember, and we went to Prescott, and that's where your library patrons, got to look at, had expectations because of all the presentations. I'm not saying, hey, this is what we have to do. No, just remember, we put on quite a show back.
I am not remembering.
Oh,
You mean a show of what we were building or
yes.
when we
let
went
me-
to,
Okay,
are you, wait, 1 second, to clarify. Are you talking about when we
when
had
Aletha
public
rolled out,
comment to what they wanted?
no, when Aletha rolled out all those presentations, and she took them to Prescott, and she took them to Touchy, and
With
she
the
took,
blueprints
with the blueprints and.
from John?
Yes.
Okay, I'm with you now. I see where you're at, okay?
Yeah,
Before the architects we have now.
absolutely.
Okay.
That was quite some, yeah,
Yes.
under Aletha. That was
Okay,
during
yes,
Aletha's time. And
2012.
she plastered them, in Prescott and Burbank and Touchy.
Yes, I remember.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
you're
just
wanting
me.
to remind us of
It's
our
just a
plan from
reminder.
2012 and the expectation of the public.
Exactly. That's all.
Okay? Anyone else?
As usual, our mistakes bring us into reality, and we need to learn from our mistakes. And as an example, if you'd have had a Dick Moeller on this board, you wouldn't have bought probably the house in Prescott. And not being willing to consult with people in the community that have the know-how, the expertise, whatever you want to call it, and you hire some out of the community advisory board, and usually they find out what you want them to tell you, and that's what they tell you, and it's not usually realistic based on our community here. So hopefully you're on a better track.
Any other comments? Okay,
You don't have to. I saw you look like, what can I comment on?
okay. The approval
Okay.
of the agenda, we'll move on to agenda.
Okay, Jim, do you need an introduction?
I can introduce myself. I'm Jim Coates. I'm the Executive Director of the Port of Walla Walla, and we're the lead economic development agency for Walla Walla County. And one of the things that we do is we keep track of a lot of demographics, community demographics. And I think the idea here today was to get a kind of a little bit of debriefing of what's happening in the county, and are there any trends that you folks should be aware of, especially when you're looking at library services and all of that. So I brought some charts. Everyone has one of them, and I can just kind of go through generally.
I don't have a chart, Jim.
Okay, would you like, you share, do you have an extra chart, or I'm sure you can share? Thank you for doing that. So, the first chart is just a little bit on population and where we've been from 1930 to 2014. And it's on 10-year increments. And it's pretty stark in the sense that we grow very, very slow in Walla Walla County. I mean, basically less than 1% a year. In fact, 0.5% a year has kind of been the trend. So Walla Walla, its population grows very, very slowly. So again, this is 1930 to 2015. It's interesting, between 60 and 70, we lost population, less people in the county. The next slide is what has happened since 2005. to 2014 on a yearly basis. And again, what it's showing is very, very slow growth in the population. So we are not a boom town, or soon to be a boom town. It's, again, very slow population. And I would say very slow compared, for instance, to the Tri-Cities. We have Franklin County and Benton County that grow 4 or 5% annually in population. So the other slide, the next one, which says chart 4, is the population breakdown of where people live. And I think the one thing that I would point out in this pie chart, in my view, is that as we grow as a community, the city of Walla Walla will continue to get a lion's share of the population, as well as city of College Place. Because of the Growth Management Act that we have that governs us, we're supposed to grow within incorporated cities that have water and sewer services. And so it's easier to grow within an incorporated community than it is outside. It's just the way it is. So I see, if you ask me 5, 10, 15 years down, I see this pie chart getting bigger and bigger for anybody that's an incorporated city, and those that live in unincorporated areas, that number as a percentage is going to get lower and lower and lower and lower.
Do you see that holding true for the city of Prescott as well? 'Cause
I do.
Okay.
I do, absolutely. Well, City of Prescott doesn't have any more water rights, so you're not going to be growing unless you find water somewhere.
Okay.
So you're very constrained on water rights there. So anyhow, I just, this chart will look even more stark, I think, in the future. Going to the next chart, which is chart 5 on the bottom, is population projection. So OFM, Office of Financial Management, they do population calculations for basically all counties in the state of Washington. And so they are making estimates of where they see Walla Walla, and they also allocate it to each area, and they project it all the way out to 2040. And again, very slow, very moderate, but this is what's called the medium growth series. And so there's projections of exactly what Prescott will be like in 2025, 2030, 2035, 2040. So those numbers are there of what can be expected. And I think they're, for planning numbers, they're pretty realistic as it relates to what OFM thinks is going to happen. The next chart may be important to you, and that's the age and sex of Walla Walla County. Males are in yellow, females are in blue. Remember that the males are always overrepresented as it relates to services, because we have about 2,900 of our finest individuals locked up at the state penitentiary, and they don't require services. Now remember, all the population numbers I just gave you includes the Department of Corrections. It includes the 2,900 people up on the hill. So a lot of people think we're a retirement community. That is simply not the facts. We are not a retirement community. In fact, you take our median wage, we're slightly younger than the state average. So don't let people try to talk you into Walla Walla being a retirement community. We do have retirees here, but it's not a huge trend, as some people would suggest. Next chart, chart 8, is per capita personal income. And this is pretty important to keep track, because if you're providing services to your...
I have a question
Yeah.
before we move on from
Yeah,
that.
yep.
The age, is that including college students that are permanent?
If they're permanent. So this is based on census data that they do projections. So when
Okay.
you go to Whitman College and you ask them to do the census, if their legal residence is not Walla Walla, they're not included here. Just say, yes, I'm staying in Walla Walla, I'm a Walla Walla
Right,
person,
okay.
and they're included, yeah. So per capita personal income, again, I think is a really, really important factor to look at, and that's how much money people have for services. And in 2013, we were about 86% of the state average in 2013. At times, we've been 70%. So one of my big goals as the port is that we're creating jobs, and we want jobs that sustain families. We want family wage jobs. So in a perfect world, our per capita personal income would be the same as the state of Washington. It is not. and we're behind about 9,000 per person. The reason is when you have King, Snohomish, and Pierce, and you have Boeing and Microsoft and Yahoo, I mean, those are huge wages, and so it's tough to get to that number. But my goal is, the trend should be, is we should get a higher and higher percentage per capita in personal income closer to the state.
I have a question on
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Another rural libraries or counties throughout the state, are we comparable to them with the 86%? Or has anything been done?
I think we're better. I think that Walla Walla County, for being a rural area, we have had statistically lower unemployment rates than most any of the other eastern Washington counties, including Spokane County. And our income is slightly better than most rural counties in eastern Washington, simply because we have something a lot of people don't, which is we have a lot of middle income class jobs. The penitentiary employs a bunch. You've got the VA hospital that's growing and expanding. There's 100 new jobs coming to the VA hospital with the retirement center. Got the Army Corps of Engineers. There's a lot of stability. You got the healthcare going in here. So there is a lot of stability. Hi, Tom. A lot of stability in our economy, so, which is good. Chart 8 is median household income, so this is taking a household income, so usually two earners, and again, we're behind the state. This one, it's interesting, on households, we're actually losing ground a little bit with the state, so we want to continue to watch that.
Does this take into account the differences in purchasing power versus Walla Walla versus King County? Cost of living, I think.
Yeah, no, this is actually just pure income. This is pure income.
This isn't
Yeah.
adjusted for inflation or anything?
No,
It's just raw
it's just
data.
pure income, yeah.
What we
yeah.
wanna look at.
So the next chart is assessed value, and this is kind of, I think, important to look at, the county's assessed value. What's interesting, while the unincorporated population is getting smaller and smaller, the county unincorporated assessed value is huge, and that is the Brochi Orchards, Boise Cascade, Tyson Fresh Meats. They're all in unincorporated Walla Walla County, and their assessed values are large on that property, on the property. So it's interesting, the population, I think, will continue to grow in incorporated cities that have municipal services. A lot of our wealth comes from unincorporated western portion of Walla Walla County. Kind of an interesting dichotomy there, but that's what it is. And I'm sure they pay a lot into your library district too, those big ones, yeah. Next chart is called chart 29. This is educational attainment. Again, I think for library services, this is probably a pretty important chart. It looks at 1990, 2000, then 2008, 2010 timeframe. And the ones that we look at, or at least the people we recruit, is the bottom one, the number and percent of high school graduates are higher. In our county, we're at 87%. And you can see in 1990, we're 79, 81, now we're at 87%. So for a rural community, that's not bad. When we're recruiting companies, they want to know the percent of the population that's high school or higher. And so, you know, you go down south in some other areas and it's a dismal number. We're at 87%. I think this is an important slide if you're providing library services to know what your clientele makes up, what is their educational levels, and because that goes for what services they're going to want in the library.
But this doesn't break it down between unincorporated and,
No, no.
so this includes the city here?
Yeah, it includes all the school districts and all of that, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So the next page, which is chart 25, is the largest taxpayers. So Boise Cascade, the pulp and paper mill, they pay 3% of all the property taxes collected in Walla Walla County. Comes from the Boise Cascade pulp and paper mill. I just wanted to show you this again. If you look at the top 1, 2, 3, are all in the western end of Walla Walla County in our unincorporated areas. So that's really big. So anyhow, I just thought you would find that of interest. The next page is our largest employers, and I do think this one's important as well. Brochi, if you take full and part-time time, is the largest employer. Tyson Fresh Meats is the largest employer if you take just full-time jobs, followed by the Washington State Penitentiary and on down. So again, if one of the things that's good about this largest employer list, if you look at it, as I do often, is you go down the list and say, okay, who's vulnerable? Who, because of economic situations, 5, 10 years from now, might not be on this list. It's not a lot. There's not a lot on this list. There's a few that I have concerns with, but on the list of 52, there's only 2 or 3 that I would stay awake at night wondering if they're going to be on the list. That's or not be on the list in a few years. So it's pretty stable employment base that way.
On chart 25,
Uh-huh.
I'm not seeing St. Mary's on this list. I see Walla Walla General.
They're there. They're number
Providence, it's under
4.
Providence.
It's number 4.
Top.
Providence.
Number 4.
No, on chart 25?
Largest taxpayers?
Providence is
Yeah.
the fourth one
Because
down.
they're exempt. They're
They're exempt. okay.
yeah, a lot of their properties are exempt, not all, but Walla Walla General has some exempt and some not. So I think on the largest taxpayers, if I recall, I believe that, is Walla Walla General one of the largest taxpayers?
They are. They're down
Yep.
here at number 17.
Yeah, and so they have a proportionate amount of their property not subject to being exempt, more than Providence.
What's the exemption from? Do you know?
Uh,
Out of curiosity.
Non-profit.
Nonprofit, religious, yeah. So, and then the last item I think we have, if we're on the same page with largest employers, I wanted to talk about Walla Walla Trends. So if you haven't been to this site, you need to go to it. It's called wallawallatrends.com, and it is an incredible site for demographic, economic, social, environmental database, and you can get a lot of information there. It is an incredible site. The port funds it at some $30,000 a year. It gets updated regularly. We have an e-newsletter that you can sign up for, and it is an incredible tool. If you really want to know what's happening in this county, economically, socially, it's right here. And so I think it's an important resource as you're making decisions to take a look at that. So I'd be happy to answer any questions or anything you might have.
I'd like to know what's happening in Burbank, where we're at.
Yeah, so Burbank, basically the big thing for Burbank, and it's huge, is that we're gonna get a sewer system. Of course, everybody's on septic tanks out there. So the port is spending millions of dollars. We have a line now underneath the Snake River connecting to the city of Pasco. And we are now building it internally towards hooking up the schools. So by end of August, the sewer system will be completed. All 3 schools will be connected to sanitary sewer. So there's been 900 kids on 10 septic tanks. I mean, that's been what's been going down in Burbank. So I think there's a lot positive happening in Burbank. And then the business park itself, I believe, will start developing. And we have CC&Rs, we want it developed the right way. And so I'm cautiously optimistic for Burbank, but it's on the retail warehouse distribution. The question is, for you, and this library services, is this population gonna pop in Burbank? And I think the answer is no. I mean, they
There's
have
no
this.
zoning for it, right?
Yeah, they have the urban growth boundary. I think there are some parcels available. The good news with sewer, if we can get it that far, now instead of having half-acre developments and acre developments that you have to have, so when your first septic tank system fails, you have enough room on your lot for the second, we should be able to do cluster development there and have a lot more responsible development. Well, there's not a lot of people these days that want an acre and a half, an acre. Now we can get small lots, but I think it's gonna take a while for Burbank to hit that. I think the business park will do well, and I think eventually there'll be some folks that will see some vacant properties and build some homes out there, maybe a Hayden Home or Sullivan Rao or something like that. But I think it's gonna take a little time, and it's gonna take a little bit of time. And wherever they develop, hopefully our sewer's not too far away that we can get it extended out there.
Okay, the sewer, is that going to make it up to the library? Because the library's a ways away from
It
the,
will not. We have actually a conduit underneath the highway to go up to Burbank Heights and 124, we can go that way. Right now, we're staying on this side of US Highway 12, so it's not planned to be there unless the citizens have failing septic tanks, and they all come together and say, let's connect to sewer. So it'd be the school district and the business park right below there.
Okay.
Yeah. And in good news for the county, it will be really good for the county, because as we bring, especially retail of the area, which I think we will, the county will get 100% of the retail sales tax. If you, within a city, the county splits that sales tax, but the 8.1% out there, 6.5% of them go to the state, county gets the balance. So, that should help the county provide services and all of that. But our goal for Burbank, just to let you know, is we'd love to see a dentist office, we'd love to see a bank locate out there. We'd like to get some restaurants out there and have some good, responsible
grocery
development.
store?
And a grocery
Grocery
store.
store would be good, yeah.
Yeah.
Now we have the art of the possibility, because we have a sanitary sewer system.
Yeah.
So it's huge, it's a new day for Burbank, we're really excited about it. But I don't think it's gonna drive population growth, that's the issue.
But it will bring some taxpayers.
It brings taxpayers, yep, yep, yep,
Okay.
yep. Any other questions, comments? It's the first time we ever spoke to the library board, so thank you for inviting me, and,
Thank you for coming.
Thrilled to have you.
yeah,
Thank you for this.
you're welcome, yeah.
So do you see projecting outward that in Burbank, all the development is going to be here and the library is going to be up here?
Mhm.
And when do you think that there might be something coming towards the library? 'Cause
It's
you've
owned
got-
by the refuge.
Yeah,
That's-
all of it? Okay.
Yeah,
Except for
yeah,
those houses along the highway, it's all refuge.
yeah, that's
But
right.
the refuge has talked about bike trails and walking paths to the library. That has been
Okay.
a preliminary discussion to take the sidewalks they've already put in the overpasses and somehow
Yeah, get
on the
that
back,
connected.
keep the kids off the highway where they walk in right now,
Mm-hmm.
go through the refuge to the back of the library, which would be so much better than those side
Yeah.
roads they do.
I was just wondering though, if your retail is here and the library is here, how that's going to work in the future.
Kind of been a problem for Burbank,
Yeah.
divided by the highway.
Yeah, I think I think that'll be a challenge. The other thing we want to do someday down in Burbank is working with the county and building a county annex building down there. So there's a spot that there can be some county services as well. I mean, in a perfect world, we live in a perfect world, I'd like you down by the business park, because we're gonna have sidewalks along there. But you also have a lot of people in Burbank Heights that does your library, but in a perfect world, I'd like to see at the business park. Because I think that's gonna be where the happening place is gonna be, and it's gonna be a nice development, and we have really good CC&Rs in place to make sure that what develops looks nice, and, but that's maybe down the road sometime.
Just keep the library in mind then when you're planning that county building.
Yeah, there you go, yeah, great. Any other
All right,
questions?
thank you.
Great,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for yielding the floor to me, appreciate that.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Your turn.
Okay. So, I was actually just discussing, things with Bobby. She sent me over your current budget and the discussions you've had, for building and doing some updating projects. To be completely honest, my ultimate goal today is kind of to be a little bit more of a fly on the wall before I offer complete recommendations. Forgive me a little bit, because I have some ignorance to what's going on here. So what I know is basically going through the budget, sifting through it as quick as I could, and looking over, it looks like Mr. Geesey put together a proposal as well, comparing you guys purchasing, building and doing construction yourself versus doing a lease option to buy type of thing. So I looked at that as well. My concern, kind of looking and discussing things with Bobby, is it sounds like one, we're eager to do a project this year that would take care of 3 building projects, and that is through the Capital Projects Fund. Okay. 2, it sounds like the lease in Plaza is expiring in December, and we're potentially looking at a bigger space, because we've outgrown that, which is going to be more costly. And she gave me a dollar figure at that. My concern, and again, this could be ignorance of the budget, ignorance of where you derive your revenues, because right now it looks like your revenues really meet your expenses. is, if you do all 3 projects this year, potentially next year, you're gonna, run a deficit. And that's a concern. Number 2, if you do all 3 projects, I don't know if there's enough wiggle room in there for, the projects become more costly than we expect. I think we all can, both on a public level, on a personal level in building, as much as we wanna stick to those budgets and those quotes, it does not always pan out that way, and so that would be a concern of mine. In addition, looking forward in the future, you're gonna have more maintenance in those buildings, so that's something that I would say needs to be considered in your budgeting process and your planning process. Inflation, okay, so we gotta pay people more as inflation rises. And so there's just things out there that need to be considered. I would say maybe an option would be break it up into phases and or, explore the option of doing a lease option, kind of like the Geesey project, but maybe see if there's anyone else out there that's maybe more cost effective. Because the thing that makes this even more expensive is obviously prevailing wages in this situation. So that's kind of my thought process at this point. Again, I kind of want to be more of a fly on the wall, and if I could have the opportunity to interject at times and give you my thoughts, then I sure will. But again, this is really preliminary. I wish I could give you more details, but I'm really new to your guys' situation. And I'd love to be a resource, as much as I could.
All right, thank you. This is the Walla Walla Urban City Growth Area, and yeah, you can actually see it on this one. Okay, because on the little one, it's hard to see. Now, Tom, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the area here that you suggested we looked at, the little light gray area.
Yeah, it's outside the urban growth. I'm Tom Glover. I'm the director for the County Community Development Department. So that area there is outside the city's urban growth area for both Walla Walla and College Place. And it has rural zoning. It's rural residential 5, which means 5-acre minimum lot size. And then you see south there again, it's the 5-acre zone, and then along the southern boundary there, the city's UGA, and a little bit on the east side there.
When I talked to Jim about the growth, because I was concerned because you had expressed concern about the east side versus where we had it near College Place. He said the east side really is not growing that much. I
Right.
concurred with that as well. So we really are looking like here and here. Now, I have been driving around in here, and I see a lot of houses, a couple of small businesses. I'm not really seeing anything. Patsy, have you had a chance to look in that area at all?
So that, show me,
That would be,
so this is on what, Wallula Road? or-
yeah, over, where's Wallula?
So the old Highway 12,
Yeah.
Wallula Avenue.
So, when you say looking at it, you're talking about something like the let's call it the Geesey model, the
Mhm.
concept that they would build to suit, and we would lease. Is that what you're discussing? the
I am
concept of?
open to anything, and,
Oh, okay.
I was just looking to see if they had anything for lease. I could not find anything as I
Okay.
drove around. I didn't find anything when I did computer searches. I found a couple houses for sale, but they're not what we want. There is one piece of property I found by the Mill Creek, I think it is, but I couldn't tell where it was, because the sign was there and it's like trees in the way. So there's that area, if you could find something in there. There's this area here. I don't know if you want to even look at this, because this is getting more further away, I think.
Given that the whole point of that center down there by our Walmart location was to cater to the southern, that donut area in the south.
This area.
If we go that far east, we're moving that much further away from, and that's not a small amount of distance
Yeah.
from Wallula to,
So you're talking about not really looking up here either?
but I don't see the point. Just, I mean, if the whole idea was to bring District 8 and District 4 into the provide services to those guys, and that's why we have the plaza location, and if we
This
want just an
down-
administrative
yeah.
center, that would be different, but
This down here is District,
that's Oregon, once you get off the old
Oh, okay.
freeway or highway.
The green, the end of the thing that says State Line Road.
okay. Here's Walla Walla, there's Fire District 8, and here's Fire District 4.
We'd be in District 4.
Four has,
Four has-
four has the population.
Right.
Eight doesn't.
Four has all the population.
8 only has 603.
But 8, I think, is the one that had the money.
Wait,
I'm trying-
that's not fair.
There's that
Trying to talk of what's in there.
What do you mean they have the money? That's not fair.
It's all farmland out there in A, isn't it?
Yeah, and we can't do anything at all with farmland.
There's no
Is
population out there.
we
to
can't-
justify it.
You know,
Zoned agricultural.
yeah. What Tom was explaining was that we can go into, is it R5?
Mm-hmm.
And we can get a, is it an exemption there, or?
It would, you would be amending the code like you did for the, to allow the Burbank Library to be in
Mhm.
place. You amended that zone to allow libraries. So it would be the same thing for the RR5 zone.
So that's feasible. Anything that's agricultural is not feasible.
That's right.
So that basically cuts it down to Fire District 4.
Yeah.
Which, again, that's, you're talking about 603 people out there in Fire District 8, if I'm reading that chart right.
You, yeah, So-
Whereas 4's got
it has all the
9,000.
people, yeah. So if I go back to the.
How far does Fire District 8 go towards Touchy?
Yeah, because this is Walla Walla.
I'm guessing those color changes there is another fire district.
Mm-hmm.
The pink would be Touchy, right? Can you go back to the previous,
Fire district map. Do we have that? No.
how about the next one down?
That's just,
Oh,
Cities
sorry.
on it.
yeah, different colors, and I just put, this is the city of Walla Walla zoning map, and this is the one that the county has with the urban growth area marked. So that's your limitation, basically, is here. There's this little area here, which I haven't looked at.
It's our limitation
What's
because
place on that side?
Because Walla Walla is, this is the urban growth area that they have, so they can annex all of that. They can annex this. This, I believe, is agricultural. Okay, that's agricultural. So this is the only thing, and when I talked to the city of Walla Walla, the planner there, she felt that this was going to be it for the next 25 years, because, correct me here, you cannot add more to your urban growth area until you've annexed what you already have, is that correct?
That's right.
So she was saying, she's thinking it's at least 25 years before they will be able to change the urban growth area.
But let's say we built something, we owned it, we built it, not the lease option, nothing, and they were in our area.
That's what fire.
It
Yeah.
ends up being what Plaza is, it's within the city limits, our library, but it's still providing service to our taxpayers.
I have a question for Tom on that. I noticed that there are certain areas that even within the city are county, like the county fairgrounds and the school district. Can the library, if that happens, remain county property? If the whole area is annexed around them?
Yeah, for example, the fairgrounds, and I think also the high school, are both located in unincorporated Walla Walla County and don't have any intention of being annexed in. I know that's true for the fairgrounds. In fact, they just de-annexed some of their land.
So how does that work for a library? Because we're not as big as the fairgrounds, or we wouldn't be as big as the high school.
Right. That's, we hadn't discussed that idea. That's a pretty
No.
interesting idea. If you look on the map where the fairgrounds is pretty centrally located,
Where's the fairgrounds?
if you can move your cursor, keep going to the right, keep going into the blue, You're almost there, dark blue right
Right
there.
there, okay.
Okay, those dark blue things are
That's
Old
county.
County, and then down here, that's
And they're
high
zoned
school.
public,
Oh, there's a-
which allows libraries. So you wouldn't have to change zoning.
Okay, so we would have to find something that's public, because then this wouldn't work over here. If we,
You'd still have to amend the code, yeah, if you went for the area in gray.
Yeah, other than agriculture, what other zones can't be turned to public? Other than agriculture.
Well, that's a difficult question to answer, but what I can tell you is that where libraries are allowed, there are several zones, including the public reserve. Burbank commercial, general commercial, which is the red on there. There's a few small red dots there. I think there were some in the Wallula area, Wallula, or what do you call it, Blaylock Orchards area.
this,
Yeah,
What's that called?
Commercial.
The red?
general commercial.
General.
Yeah. Let's see, the industrial business park, as Jim mentioned. Multifamily residential, there's not much in the county. Well, it's all within UGA anyway. The rural residential too.
And if you, let's say we find something in rural residential too, that doesn't need to be turned to public?
That's right. No.
Okay,
A public use would be allowed.
Would be allowed,
Yes.
okay.
yeah, but would we have to change it to public if we didn't want to be annexed later? And is that possible? How do you do that?
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter what the zone is, you would still be annexed, but the annexation, so for example, between with the fairgrounds, there is at least an informal agreement, if not a formal one, I'm not sure, between the county and city, that the city will not force that land to be annexed in.
Okay.
I don't know the situation with Wahai. I don't know why that wouldn't be in the city, but anyway. But the fairgrounds is an interesting idea, because they are trying to acquire more land there along, I think it's third or fourth, so on the east side of the fairgrounds.
Probably that triangle sitting right there.
The yellow?
Yeah, yeah, along there, there's some older homes, and they have acquired some of them and have torn them down. I don't know what the plan is, if that's to accommodate parking or construction, but
Or a library?
that might be an idea for you. Yeah, that's where I'm headed, is that might be an idea for you. To take one of the lots and put a library on it.
Now, over there, following, I guess that's the railroad track, isn't it? What's that little red,
What's that?
the little red triangle? Move it on down, Bobby.
Here.
Right there.
Oh, there.
What's that?
The Plaza branch is really close to that.
It is right now, that's right.
Huh. I can't think of what.
It's your
What's-
house, okay.
That's on the, that's just on the, okay.
So the hotel
Off
is
Myra?
around there somewhere. Is it Holiday Inn or Hampton Inn?
Hampton,
But I don't
Okay.
know which side. It's not in the county.
okay.
You know,
but
I
that
wonder if
would be
that's-
Hampton, wouldn't it?
I wonder if that's the county's office building
Oh,
that's been in the news.
okay.
Oh,
Well, that's.
I'm guessing
well,
that's what that
The
is.
Hampton Inn's right close to that.
Right
so
across the
maybe-
street, yeah.
maybe.
See where it says cancel there, Bobby?
Okay, you know that I'm not good at this. Thank you.
You do have some other pockets there within College Place. So where it's yellow, I think that's a residential zone.
Here?
Yeah. And again, you'd have to amend the zoning code to allow a library, but if you're looking to stay in that area, and if there's land for sale within one of those pockets, that might be an idea.
And then that little gray area off Myra Road,
So,
the little purple.
It's a
gray.
cemetery.
Oh, that's a cemetery.
Don't have any patrons there.
No paper.
no, our patrons are the 9,398 in Fire District 4. That's our patrons.
Burying us in the middle of town.
Our taxpayers are the Fire District 8, the 603.
On that
So we need to
cemetery,
provide service to them in a spot that we can have zoned, but whether we get turned into city,
It's a non-issue.
it's a non-issue. And we're not paying, because we don't wanna pay taxes to them, I mean, it's a non-issue for us. If we are right now in Plaza, leasing within city limits, as long as we're providing service to our taxpayers, and it's in a spot that is good for them, and isn't in the backseat of the public library. You want it to have
Yeah, you want to be far away.
far enough away that if in utopia we're all one system, it makes sense.
The thing we're concerned about with the urban growth is the erosion of our area down there between the incorporated area.
So that you're no
Walla Walla,
longer providing service
and
to
that we're no longer
your,
relevant.
but if you're on the edge of it or
But
you're,
you're talking 25 years and a lot of people to get to vote to annex in.
and you're still gonna be really close to your taxpayers still.
Yeah.
Even if they annex, they're not annexing all the way out to all 9,000 of them.
That's the only thing the annex would concern us, is the erosion of our patrons. Because once they get annexed in, they're paying into the city, and the city would be responsible for providing services to them.
Yeah, by the way, so on those islands there in the city of Walla Walla, you bring up a good point there, that they do, if you are building new and want utilities from, it would be the city that would provide them, and they would require that you annex in.
In which areas?
You know, I was kind of thinking of the fairgrounds area there. Unless you can work a deal with the fairgrounds to branch into their system or something, I don't know.
So does that go for any of
Yeah, that
just the islands within the annexed area, or does that include the
Just the
annexed
dark
area?
blue.
I don't-
Just the dark blue ones?
I'm sorry if it,
I guess just repeat what you just told me.
so for example, let's say the fairgrounds, you found
Perfect lot.
a perfect lot within that area there. And you wanted to build new, and you would of course want utilities, and the nearest utility provider is the city of Walla Walla, of course. And they require, before they provide any utilities, that the property owner annex their land in.
So that's only those dark blue areas then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, my thought though is, I don't know if it would be possible to work something with the fairgrounds, if you found your perfect site and you could tap into their lines, but again, their lines are gonna be from the city anyway. I don't know how that would work.
That would be fun.
With College Place, I think they have that same agreement, that if you want utilities, you need to annex in. So, having said that, the libraries that you have now, let's see, obviously not Plaza Way, but let's see what, Burbank perhaps, it has its own well and septic system,
Has to.
which is probably what you would have to go for here, otherwise they may require you annex in. I hadn't thought of that till you
That's
just
just a
mentioned
piece
it.
of property, and again, I don't think that's a real concern for us, is whatever property we end up buying, where it winds up residing, it's just a service we can provide to the people in that area.
But if they make you annex in,
Then you're in the
then
city.
you're in the city.
And,
That's okay, we've
but that's
already
okay,
established
Patsy,
that.
yeah.
That's
Oh,
okay,
Wouldn't mind that.
With Ninth
Okay.
Street, I mean,
yeah. Well,
I'm,
but the piece of
there's no way
property,
around it, there's no way around it. So what we need to do is provide to that area between, Oregon and Walla Walla, where we've got this 9,000 people.
So that light gray area then is the rural residential 5. You would have to amend the code, but I don't see that as a big problem. We've done it once before. It does take some time to do, 6 months or so. But would work with you on that. Not a controversial thing. So it's just then a matter of finding the right, whatever works for you down there. There's a new subdivision that's kind of, if you move your cursor to the right, cross the highway and now stop, go down. Right in there, I think it's a gated community. But north of that, there's some other housing that's in the city. And you go west along Grayland. There's some, east along Grayland there. There's some new housing and road construction projects happening around in there too.
South
for
of
thought.
Morrison.
And then down Plaza Way in Old Milton, I see properties that have been around for a long time starting to develop a little bit, but no subdivisions, just individual farms and sort of thing.
So is there any advantage to looking for something here when we have something?
Of College Way,
Where's the one we, where's
Right
the
there.
property we own?
right there, about where
It's
that
in-
cursor is, right about in there, isn't it?
Okay, that's 12
South.
or a little,
A little bit south.
I think it's about where the C is in College Avenue.
Yeah.
That
There you
orange?
go.
no, I went down 12th today. When I left the property, I went down 12th to get to Home Depot.
Yeah, that you went up College Avenue first. and
Yeah,
then went down
okay, I
12.
went down, okay.
You were
Yeah,
up there
it's
too.
right there where that
It
C
must
is on
show you-
College.
That orangey thing must be, no, it's not Walmart, it can't be Walmart.
No, Walmart's to the
It's east.
east.
But they
See
don't
that
have a
word
red
level?
spot.
That's the public
Oh.
school, right?
That's the school.
You think that's the school?
The school is
Public-
right
that
there, and the yeah.
If
But that's the wrong
school,
side of
we
it.
would be,
On the other side of the road is vacant land, but it's in their UGA.
okay, so we're
Okay.
here someplace.
On the-
Right.
oh,
That
Well,
one, yellow
you see
thing is
those
their
little-
urban growth area.
Yes.
Okay.
That little box right there by the O. and
So
that-
that's not College Zone, College Place right there where the,
That road right
what is
there.
that?
The orange
That
stuff,
Orange,
the
yellow.
oranges.
It's within their urban growth boundary.
It is, yeah.
So we have to annex in order to get utilities?
Yeah, they would.
We're already in College
But
Place.
we're in
Your
College.
property's
We're
already in
College.
College Place, yeah.
Yeah, we've already got utilities.
We've already got utilities.
I'm just asking what the concepts are.
If you looked at land within that kind of orange area there, yeah, you'd have to.
So,
they would
in other
want
words,
you
it doesn't
to-
matter if it happens in Walla Walla. You see what I'm saying? I mean, if you,
Well, I'm trying to understand if it's worth looking here, if we're right
there,
here.
exactly.
Well,
The
that's
spot's
part
an
of-
awesome spot, other than
part
the
of
fact that
reason we picked that
it's
spot is
in
to provide
non-taxpayer
affordability.
land.
And next to the school and some residential areas.
Fits the area pretty well. It's just a matter of traffic patterns, I think.
Well, like at Plaza, when you go there, you see all this traffic. Everybody's going to the grocery store, they stop at the library.
Yes.
You don't have any walk-ins there either.
At Plaza?
I don't think
I
so.
think you do.
You think so?
But there's a lot of people walking when you're at that light, you see a lot of people walking
Yeah.
back and forth there.
There's,
There's so many cars, I just think.
oh yeah,
no,
I think you get
You
your fair
get
share
some
of walkers
walking.
too.
So does anyone have any more questions of Tom and zoning?
No, not until we find some, I mean, first of
We
all,
could-
what drives
we
us
could
is the
need to-
money.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then when we know what our budget is and what we can afford,
Mhm.
and where, then I think we need to make sure we're in a spot that's
This
doable.
has been very helpful.
Yes, thank you, Tom.
Well, sure. Happy to.
We may need you again.
Okay, cool, good. I like to be needed.
And I didn't mean to throw you a curveball, I just thought of it while we were sitting here.
No, that's why we're here. That's excellent. That's fine. Brainstorm is okay. So if being in the city via annexed in is not a problem, that does open up some more options.
I just didn't want problems with where we try and locate outside the city and then they annex us, and then we have people coming saying, well, then this should be given to the city library. I didn't want to be in the position where we could have people coming at us for that.
Does College Place, the city, do they have their own library?
They don't.
That might be the better.
But they don't, they're not taxpayers to ours either, so.
That's kind of the rub there.
But
So we don't, you
They
know.
need a library, but they don't know
So
it
I
yet.
see, so you
They're
provide a
learning it,
service.
yeah.
Yeah,
Try to
we
sell them
need
the tax.
we need it to be where our taxpayers are. We're providing services to the people paying into it.
Access to the,
That's why Burbank was so easy, probably. Just
Right.
There's nothing around to
It's
Yeah, no, that was.
interfere.
obvious.
but going back to the fire districts 4 and 8 again, maybe we look at that map as well.
Is there a way to make that There, can we see that?
So College Place is the green on this.
Yes.
What's that little island way out there?
It's their wastewater treatment plant.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay. It's certainly close, where we own already is certainly close access to Fire District 4.
It is for the people like from here over. I don't know how far away this is.
But once again, that's rural east, where there's not as many people.
Pretty remote and large farms, and you're getting into the foothills too.
Yeah. Where's the airport? It's right over there.
A lot of that land is just wide open farmland, so
Yeah.
where the population's located out there? They've gotta be, are they in like Loudon and Touchy and, are they?
Going east, yeah.
So that,
I mean west.
West, but
Where is,
where's
That's what I'm trying to-
Dixie and all that?
It's off the map, but it's diagonal if you kind of go out, see the tan line that kind of leads to the northeast, so it's up there, somewhere up there.
so looking at streets, I'm guessing there's more population where there's streets. No, go, back to that, I can see streets above College Place. Oh, no. On that same map you were showing us,
slide 9.
no, seven?
Seven?
Seven? I need my thing, where is it?
We're hiding it from you.
My eagle eyes. Right here, you see more streets. If you zoom it, there's gonna be a lot more streets right here. Then there's streets here, and there's very few roads here. So this is where your population is right there.
Yeah,
Yeah, so that area is the Wallula Road area, Blaylock Orchard area,
That's it.
where they've got the rural 5 acres
where the
zone.
rural
So that's
is.
probably where that 600 and some odd is, sitting in district, oh no, that's district.
No,
that's
you're
District
still in
8.
4.
Okay.
District 4,
That was my curiosity, is where are these 631 some odd people in Fire District 8? Are they clustered, are they spread out?
Look at your
No,
roads
no,
and
no.
you'll see where the people, you can kinda get the
8?
concept of.
8 has the 9,000,
8 is where,
8
so
has
you're
the
6,
9,000, 6,000, 9,000. Fire District 4.
Fire District 4
Only
has
has
9,398.
Yeah.
and the,
Fire District 8 has 600.
yeah, and they're gonna be scattered. So look at Fire District 8, it's kind of that blue and it takes in a large part of Walla Walla. But it doesn't take in just city limits, it also takes in some of the UGA, and I'm guessing, and so that's unincorporated, so that's probably where the 600 are. So on the fringes of the city, I guess, on the edge of the city limits.
So that would be,
So the airport is in Fire District 4.
where's the airport?
See the runways? They look like a triangle.
Okay, so it's up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Ironically, College Place is right in the middle of our Fire District 4. And
Mhm. Mhm.
and it looks like it's mostly on this side of Walla Walla where the roads are.
So another thought on the Blaylock Orchards area there.
So I need to
The
go-
one, no, right there, north of Walla Walla. I mean, north of College Place,
Yeah.
right there.
Right,
Right there, yep.
So it is zoned 5 acre, and there's a lot of lots that are, and probably most of the lots in there are less than 5 acres. So you're not probably going to see a lot of redevelopment in there or new subdivisions. It's mostly developed now. So if you're looking for areas of new growth, south of College Place and south of Walla Walla will be more likely to grow. There's more open land there that's zoned,
Residential.
lower density, higher density residential, some more likely to be developed.
Are they 1 to 2 acre? Are they still the 5 acre? Or you don't?
That zoning is 5 acre, but it's largely undeveloped yet
Okay.
still. But that's where the growth is headed towards, it's mostly south.
And that's the area on this map.
Yes,
is gray.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It's a lot to think about.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Okay, Patsy, you're really focused. Well, what are the thoughts there?
Well, where we've already owned isn't so bad when you look at that.
No, the rough sell on that is just being surrounded by the city of College
Yeah.
Place, which isn't a corporate, but
But it's easy access up the, and of course Plaza, if there was, that's just too small pieces. But if we could get a bigger, place in there, it's worked, we brought in the people, but it's easy for them to get there.
already established the library habit
Okay.
most people.
Of course, people go to Walmart, I mean, it's a zoo there every day. It's not very far from Walmart either, where we are now. I mean, where we purchased, we're not there. But in looking at these other areas, I don't see any value to go up. I mean, people,
Up here?
yeah, up in there, people are, that's not easy access to all the people that live down here.
Yeah, no.
It wasn't easy access from here.
No, and you're almost
It
there.
is if you know where you're
Well,
going. With that new highway bypass.
But Myra Road makes that whole thing work so well.
Yeah. Nice.
yeah, this way. That way it didn't work so well.
Well, Myra's over there.
Yeah, Myra's here.
There. Myra's wonderful. Every time I go on it, I think, wow, that's so nice for me.
What a good move.
Yeah.
Now, the city might make you a deal on that mall property. There's some space.
Well, we've
Yeah.
actually talked to them.
The real estate man called me about, and he said he talked to you about the Pizza Hut
Okay.
again. He said now they've decided they might not knock it down. Evidently, when they talked to you and said we already have plans for it, they were going to knock it down and leave it as a pad to build something new.
But they'd already started remodeling it when I talked to him.
Yeah. Well, he called me the other day and I said, well, you better talk to Bobby. But that was the real estate man that took us on a drive.
Oh,
around.
that was him. Okay, that wasn't.
That
the-
was not the person from the mall.
The mall, okay.
So that's the gamble there is if that mall property takes off, it's been a lifetime that's been sitting there looking like Beirut. But,
Somebody else described Afghanistan, but I
yeah,
guess
I
it's the
think
same.
that's probably more current.
I don't have it in this one.
Do we have access to this?
Yes.
Where did this map come from, Bobby?
This one came from Tom.
Oh, it's a great map to help us.
And I thought I had a map in here with the, maybe I put it in with Prescott by mistake. Though I can't imagine why I would put it with Prescott, but I could have. Nope, I didn't put it anyplace.
Well, you can send it to us.
Okay, I think I already have. But it was, I did send it to you, Patsy. It's the mall, the photograph, the drawing of the mall with Carl's name on it. And basically he was saying next to the carpet place, they probably had a pad there.
I looked at that. Over there.
Yeah, it's not a very big pad, but he was talking about maybe 3,000 to 3,500 square feet. So it would not include the service center.
And they were saying they would build to suit.
What size are you looking for the building?
Well, for Plaza, we were really looking a little over 4,000, 4 to 6, unless, that was my estimate. The board hasn't really chimed in yet.
The idea is to
The
combine
bigger,
this-
for the money.
Yeah, we were considering taking this building and
what's in here and also have a library and that together.
Oh,
What's driving the size is how much we have money-wise each month. And the model in which we end up, whether we're building or leasing and all that. So, originally, before we had all of these ideas, we had wanted a 15,000 square foot library with a service center in it, but, wishes are lovely.
Reality got
So,
moved.
yeah,
can you build something a little bigger than what you need and then lease that extra space to cover the cost?
hadn't thought of that, I
We've
like
not
that
thought of
idea.
that at all.
Yeah, that's a good
I
idea.
don't think there's anything. Is there anything?
If we can afford to build it big enough, then something like that.
I don't know, is there any
Mhm.
problem with that?
Other than the risk of having it sit empty.
Can we
Right.
lease? Are we allowed to by law? We'd have to check. I know we have issues, we can't sell, we can't buy certain ways, but we have to look at the legalities of if we can lease space.
People lease to coffee shops
I was
and
gonna say,
libraries.
Yeah, you'd think they'd be
I've
able
heard
to.
of that before,
Oh,
so,
yeah.
but
Yeah,
depending
Richland
on what
Public Library
state.
does.
Now, this is this piece of property right now where we are.
Right. Kim, did you have anything you wanted to put in there when we're jumping over to leasing and something, building and leasing something out?
Can I interject? Am I-
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Okay. A couple questions running through my mind, and this is, again, out of ignorance. Why can't you utilize the property you own in College Place? Other than it's not the area that you serve, but still it's a property you own.
We possibly can with the right budget.
Okay, so
It's
it's
not
too
off the table.
expensive to build there.
It's not off the table.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
don't think it's,
Is it-
initially, our initial plan to build, that we had to build there, is looking like it's being too expensive. We can build.
Well,
It's
okay,
big.
let's just say the whole story. How it is that we have all these other places in the county that would like libraries remodeled and built.
Okay.
And those communities have been incredibly supportive
Okay.
of wanting these libraries. The people in the area here, in the taxpayers, love the public library, the city library, and we haven't had 100% support in even putting in a library in this area.
Mhm.
And then the property that we bought ended up being in College Place, which are not taxpayers.
Okay.
So there's been a lot more political brouhaha. So taking all of our money and building this 15,000 square foot library that they didn't necessarily 100% want or have it in the right spot, we stepped back from that and we have focused on the communities that have really wanted their libraries.
Gotcha.
But it doesn't mean we don't need to provide service here and that we're not interested in it, we just have to look at a new model of where are we going with this. But we do own that property, and it is in a great spot for the taxpayers.
Yeah, a decision needs to be made before we go into a lease for 3 to 5 years as to whether we want to move forward with the College Place, something around there,
Mhm.
or if we need to,
Is it a big property?
2 acres, I think, just about.
The lease that they're talking about getting into, we have as a stopgap, we went up on 9th Street in that, sir, I don't know what it is,
The Plaza Shopping Center.
Plaza
yeah,
Shopping
it's
Center.
a strip mall,
Nice.
and put in a temporary library that serves that whole area, and it's really small. It's-
Yeah. I drive by it every day.
Yeah, and
By
it's,
Safeway.
so,
It was
We
kind
have
of an
that.
experiment, we did a 5-year lease just to see
but that lease
if
is
we would
coming
have
due.
community support, and we do have people using it and liking it, so we're getting more support as we go. People are getting used to the idea of 2 libraries in the area.
Okay.
Some cities are used to 6 or 7 libraries, but this community wasn't so open to that at first.
The
The one-
Division 2 is,
Is
we're an
Plaza open
entirely
every
different
day?
entity than the city library.
Mhm.
Right now, this last month in Plaza, we had 43.8 customers every day.
Now,
So
some-
that's, that's
For the size of the
for
library.
the size of the library.
Now, some of these, when I talked to Joel about who's using the computers, because we don't know, because we don't require a library card. But he thinks that a lot of them are from Milton Freewater and a lot of them are city residents. We will know once we put Sam in there,
Mhm.
because that will limit you to having a library card. And we are gonna get backlash at that point from people.
So I'd be curious if that's just anecdotal, because Milton Freewater has a great library. I think, when, it's easy for me as a Fire District 4 person to drop right into Plaza. I don't shop at many of the other stores there, that's just me personally, but I love going to that library, so probably a lot of District 4 people are already doing that.
Yeah, I think you do, you're right, there are some.
Now,
I
has,
think-
Need to circulate
has
every-
the,
I would wonder if the problem, because I live in Fire District 4 as well, is for me, I want to go to a library like yours because it let me in, where, you know, the city library won't. Do I care where it is? I don't know if that's as big as a concern, because I need the capabilities of the library, period. And
Yeah.
so would I go outside of Plaza? Yeah, if I needed it. So
So the-
I guess my question to you is, people who support it, need it, not necessarily our number one concern is where is it located, is can you provide it to me? And so I guess I would caution you guys as a board is to look at it that way, how can we provide this in a cost-effective way? Maybe not necessarily be too constrained with the location of it.
So with that in mind, you might be able to help us, Kim, with a own versus lease model. That could be very helpful, if we could look at the financials of that. Because we have this unique income stream that's constant. And to me, that almost is a pretty good argument for leasing, rather than maintaining something that we own, which can be odd things in the budget. A lease is not an odd thing in the budget, it's a known entity.
The costume.
I guess if you have a constant budget and you have a lease, and you increase that lease to acquire, you know, a larger building per se, how does that budget change with you? I guess that's my question. Because I see right now your expenditures and your revenue match up perfectly. What does that process look like to continue growing that revenue?
That's why we had the report here saying, are you putting in a new grocery store, are we gonna have new revenues? And it doesn't sound like tremendously that we can, when you look at the numbers
Okay.
in 10 years, I don't think we can comfortably say there's going to be any spikes of,
We're gonna-
and if Boise Cascade goes out, we're all
But they won't.
gonna start volunteering at the library.
now,
Okay. And so it looks like when you guys revised your budget, you revised it primarily because your property tax payment was declining. Is that?
No, we had put together a budget based on what we felt we needed. And I talked to the assessors and they couldn't give numbers at that point. So we revised it once the assessor came out with their numbers. Because we do our numbers and then we get,
We do it in October, we're
Yeah.
hopeful and wishful, and then we get real in December when we find out what we can truly have.
Our budget's entirely dependent on that growth in the overage area.
So basically, we have to look at the rents we already have, the salary structure that we're using, and work with the fixed amount that comes in. And use our savings wisely, because it's not sustainable, and once it's gone, and can't depend on more.
And so the capital projects fund, is that only for building? Or could you use that for lease?
Right now, it's for building.
For
But
building
it-
only?
but if you decided not to build, yes.
But then, when you run out of that, there's no more coming into your capital fund. So you could say, yes, we can afford a 10-year lease, but at the end of 10 years, there's no more money that's going to be in your capital funds. So it's not a sustainable model. to
But
use your
we've
savings.
talked also that if you had the rent for this one, the rent for the one we have at Plaza, if we could combine those two, perhaps we could use that money that's in the budget to have either something else, or in the case of this picture, this building, that this area where we're sitting right now is given to us to use for this purpose once a month by the owners, but we don't rent it. Bob, where's the thing?
where's what?
Where's our line of what we rent there right now?
At Plaza?
No, here.
Here, this is what we rent at Plaza.
Oh,
We don't have anything
We don't have a
here.
picture of it.
What we do rent here is, there's a room back there, and from that wall on the other wall, over.
So how many square feet
It's
over,
about it's 29, I think.
over there? What the total building is?
39
So one of the things
or
we have looked at,
4,000.
if we have some savings, and we could live off interest income for leasing. you know what I mean? But it's so tiny, that's not real conceivable what we did.
Okay, what we
Maybe
have
some homework
now
on
is
financials.
three
The
thousand.
problem is, you guys are restricted on what the treasurer, the county treasurer invests the money in.
Mhm.
We
Right
understand that.
now, it's all, state issued bonds, which is interest rates of 1% and less. So, that's the balancing act.
It's a
If you were a
significant
public
boundary,
entity,
yeah.
I would help you in a heartbeat, right? Or excuse me, if you're a private entity, I'd help you in a heartbeat, but public, can't change that piece.
So now this is, the block is at Plaza.
Yes, this is, block at Plaza, this is what we currently have, it's 27,374, same thing here. This is 1,570 square feet is what we have currently. This is what we, if we're expanded, the dollars. If we expand to this picture that I had up there a minute ago, we'd have 2,520 square feet. He thinks we may be able to get up to 3,000 square feet, but he's not sure about that. Right now, it comes out to 1,380, he said that would go up, but it would be around that. So I had to base it on that so we would have a comparison. I'm thinking it's probably gonna be at least the 14. And then the CAM is 364 right now. So you're looking at from 27 up to 35, 693, or 52, 320. Meadowbrook, they didn't give me a CAM, so I used the same number here because we're in similar places. Theirs is $14 a square foot is the minimum that they will go. It's 3,524 square feet, and that's $62,163. At Jade Street, I didn't put the current square feet. If we combine the whole building, it's 3,980. It's $453 a square foot, and it's about $18,000 annually. And here I have a bunch of unknowns because he's not gotten back to me. I just know we talked about 3,500 square feet.
Where's the town center
That's right down the street
It's
here.
the old Blue Mountain Mall.
at? Oh.
Great route.
Beirut, yeah. Okay, lots of good info there.
But we don't have that. And this does not combine with the service center. These two do not combine with the service center. So you would still have the $10,800 a year. Unless he at some point decides to raise the rent, which he's given no indication of. Back to the block, this is what we have now. It would be this strange shape here. If we want 3,000, he would have to negotiate with this tenant to see if we could square that off, and he's not sure about that.
What is that additional space? What's
That's,
that?
is it UM Mobile or something like that? It's, is that the wheelchair place?
Oh, that medical. So it's
Yeah.
like, it's down a step too, because they're on two different.
Elevations?
No, I don't think so.
Don't think so.
I don't think so.
They're
yeah.
Oh,
behind.
the stairs are at the other end.
Yeah,
I'm
they're
sorry.
behind the, is it China Buffet or something over here?
Gotcha.
Oh,
Yeah, so this part is behind,
oh,
And
trying
this
to
is-
face the gray.
I think so. And this is what we have, which is this weird thing here. Our restroom is here. So we're gaining 950 square feet if we do that. He's, and then the price, he says, depends on how much we want to change the configuration. He already knows that this wall would need to come down. He's not sure if we need another restroom. At 3,000 square feet, I think you're sort of right there on the cusp. I'd have to check building code on that to find out with a public building. So it depends on what we want him to do as to what he would charge for rent, and it also would depend on the terms of the lease. He, of course, is pushing for 5 years. Depending on what the decision is with College Place, I don't know if you want to do 5 years.
Do we know what the property's valued at in College Place?
We paid $250.
250.
Yeah.
And we've added some to that.
Yeah, we've run the
Electricity,
electricity and the Ethernet.
fiber.
So if you
Yeah,
find
fiber.
We had a
another
sidewalk, didn't we, with, helped with something.
No,
to
the
do
sidewalk stops at the school. We have to expand it when we,
When and
with-
if
We
we
did
build.
something though
I
with
think
sewer
it's
or
been,
we,
Something we
The
had,
turn-ins, right?
anyway, we've added a little bit, but not tremendously.
Yeah,
So
the
if you were to
turn-ins, yeah.
pursue a long-term option that was, turned out to be different than what you had in College Place, would you guys be able to then sell it and put that into your reserves?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah, we think we would be able to sell.
okay. I have an appointment, so I do have to.
Thank you so
Okay.
much
Thank you
for
very much.
coming.
thank you.
Of course. I will put some more information together and hopefully pass it on.
Thank you.
Hopefully
Excellent.
you've got some more ideas here of
Yeah,
what we're trying to do.
I've got some wheels turning now,
Okay.
which is kind of fun.
Also, I should see email at 3 AM.
That's how it starts.
You
It
never
starts as
know,
small.
honestly. So many ideas come. Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
coming.
Do you have any more questions for Tom? Because I don't want to have him just sit here.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Yes, we appreciate it very much.
Good.
Is your question for Tom?
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I don't think I got an introduction of who Tom is or what.
Oh, sorry. I'm the director for the County Community Development Department. So planning and zoning and all that stuff, yeah. Building,
Take Duncan's place then? No, that's different, okay.
yeah, no, he was emergency
Emergency
management.
management.
Mhm.
So your office is where?
We're at 310 West Poplar,
Oh,
so across the street from the hospital.
in the old, it used to be the health department?
Yes, that's right, yeah, second floor.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you,
good,
Tom.
thank you.
Appreciate you coming.
Absolutely.
So I think that we continue on with subcommittees on this meeting, is that?
Yeah, I thought maybe you'd want to.
Can you pull up that last chart you had?
Okay, can we take a quick 5 minute, I don't know if we need to,
Now, are
can
you gonna
you
look
turn
at-
it off for a
Yes.
second? Just
Yeah.
because I need to, I don't want Alice to sit for 5 minutes and do nothing. Okay, let's take a 5 minute, use the restroom.
Gonna go into committee meetings now?
It is recording.
Okay.
All right.
You can't start the next meeting.
Can we
We
finish
can't
with-
start
No,
the
no,
next
no,
meeting
there's
till-
still more on this
finishing this,
agenda,
okay.
guys. We're still in the
okay.
first
Oh,
meeting.
all right.
That was just a quick break.
Yeah.
We are
Do you want me
now,
to finish with Plaza?
yeah, go ahead, you
Okay.
go where we're going.
See, it wouldn't complete, so let me try it with mine.
If you're any gooder.
Go ahead and boot this one out then.
Okay, this is what Meadowbrook looked like. I just took 2 pictures and Alice is here with us. There she is. So that's what Meadowbrook is, and this is, these are some choices. We can do nothing in closed Plaza.
Over there?
We can move Plaza into the service center and negotiate a remodel and expanded lease with the current landlord. I know why it's not doing it. I didn't want you to have to look at that all at once, because it was too much there. We can renew the lease with Block Properties with no other changes except price increase, because he's gonna go up.
Mm-hmm.
We can combine the current space at Plaza with the space next door. That will require additional funds, and I've already mentioned about when Sam, the computer use should go down. We can renegotiate with Meadowbrook, it requires additional funds.
How far away are we from getting sound installed?
It'll start probably the last week of this month.
So
Yeah,
we're close.
so Prescott is first and then Plaza second.
Why are we bothering out in Prescott? There's like 3 computers out there.
Because we have one person working there, and she's doing programming as well as trying to service the computers, all at the same time, as well as trying to do patrons.
But there's also, Tom, some laptops that come in from
Oh, again.
residents who
Who
don't
cares?
have it. Who cares?
Yeah, they're not taking up a computer. We're gonna kick
No,
people.
but you've got slow, it's very, very slow.
They ran 14 programs last month and had 36 in attendance. Could have 540 patient visits and 193 computer users. So that tells me that they're processing computer users through pretty rapidly.
But there's a lot of people use it because it's too expensive for them to.
Okay, let's talk about Sam in the next meeting.
Okay.
It's a SAM program.
Look,
SAM is a computer program that will limit access to the public computers and kick you off after a certain amount of time.
Protection.
We can pursue the new town center. They may have an outlying lot near the carpet and tile store. We can clear College Place and put a leased modular building. We can stay within the current funding available. By doing that, we'd have to be much smaller, and it would need to be designed to allow additions. We can clear College Place and build a modest branch. Still, we have to stay within the current funding available. That's $443,000, so we're talking really small. Again, designed so that you can do additions. You can locate property in the county in the area outside the city's urban growth area for lease to build or purchase, and we went through the zoning map. You can request the county to declare property in the county a park to which a library can locate. And you can temporize and begin a concerted fundraising effort for 3 years, then build a larger library. Or continue searching for an adequate site. If you have more, let me know, because those are the possibilities I could come up with.
Did you look at the modular building?
I have been trying to look at the modular building. I've even contacted the first person I contacted. I have emailed, I have called.
So give up on them. There's gotta be somebody else who does them.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
has to
give
be.
up on them.
Their office is right there in Baskin.
I know, but they're,
But they're not responding. When I
And they're
first talked to them, they had all these, they were enthusiastic, they were ready, and then it's like they dropped off the face of the earth.
they're eyesores. Okay.
Okay, that's the pricing for Block. He needs a fairly quick decision because he has to negotiate with other tenants. One the one next to us, he would have to find another spot for. That was Meadowbrook. We have a lower rent here than we currently have at Plaza. I'm figuring an estimate high, if we took the whole building, of $1,500 a month. We need to negotiate the lease and remodel. It's not in an ideal location. It's a swan and duck clothing. It's about 3,980 square feet, $453 a square foot, $18,000 annual if lease term is $1,500 a month. There's the Walla Walla Town Center. January 2016 for occupancy, wherever Rose Street is, which is here. He's talking about no, that's not Rose Street.
It's Poplar, that's right along the,
Here?
that's along, Rose is along the front side. That's this road right out here that runs.
Yeah, is it this one?
That's,
No, up on top.
Shopko's there.
Okay, it's north and east of Shopko.
So it's here.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Pizza Hut. That was Pizza Hut.
That was Pizza Hut.
Pizza Hut here, this is where this
Town
is the
center is
carpet,
right there.
and then this is where he was looking at for us. It's over in this corner here.
Is Hobby Lobby really there, or is that just a?
That's they've said it might come.
Yeah, he's not telling me if they've actually signed or not.
I don't, there's a lot.
Okay, we've seen this, we've seen that, and then this, I just put everything together in one. End of slide.
Okay, can you go back to your, all the options, no stone unturned?
We have access to this as well, right?
Okay,
Yeah,
there it is.
Possibly. Let me see. Wait, you have to pull it from the computer so it'll see this as a hard drive.
so, can we cross off everything that is not within X number of dollars, we have to figure out what that X is, and does not provide library service? If it doesn't provide library service adequately, it's off the list. See what happens to your list then. Like the
Okay.
first one's gone if it doesn't provide a library service. And if it couldn't be done within, and we should pick a number, and then look what our list looks like.
You want to shoot that to the printer?
Sorry, I don't mean you have to do it right now in
Okay.
front of us. I'm just talking about how to narrow that list. Obviously, it has to be narrowed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, I mean, you could start writing pros and cons and still be spinning your head in circles. So I think that maybe pick a couple criteria to drop things.
Okay.
I don't know, and what does the board think? If it doesn't provide service and it's
Well, yeah,
more than X number of dollars, either total or monthly,
Getting rid of what we can't do is, would probably,
I mean, some of it we don't know the answer yet, like on the modular thing, or how much,
When you look at this, what would you get rid of immediately?
number 2 needs to go. Number 1.
Why number two?
what's wrong with number 2?
What's wrong with
Move
number?
Plaza into the service center here,
But rent the whole thing.
yeah, but then who do we serve here?
Same people we serve at Plaza.
Except we're now like 5 miles away.
Yeah, but we're on the main road.
Good
We
for
are
us.
not much further than the Pizza Hut option.
So that would also have been on my list.
So,
The nice thing
so,
about that
so
one, though,
my
is
two
it
things
is
was
right there on
money
Myro.
and library service. You're talking in the library service location.
Well, that's, so when you say, where's library service, we could provide a hell of a lot of service from here, but I don't think they'd all be paid, or tax base. Like, we'd be in a worse spot than we are with Plaza or College Place, because it is off the main road, but
I don't live here, I'm out of this.
your
I don't
your
trust
through
you
fare
guys.
from coming is gonna be over on Ninth Street, heading straight up to 125 and cutting over, or going all straight up Myra, and then getting on 125 and cutting over
Well,
to
can
get
we,
into those areas.
we can afford this.
So,
Yeah,
I have to say that I'm with what Kim mentioned earlier, that is, if you're providing me library service, I will find you.
Unless you're, yeah,
Transportation issues.
and
Yeah, but this is
that's
on a bus
great.
line here.
Yeah, so that's something to consider too. That's, I disagreed with her on that, because location is part of any
Yeah, well-
business model. If we
Well,
build our
within
service
certain
center-
parameters.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
But I think this building is within that parameter.
But if it's a.
Okay, so
huge-
2 didn't get knocked out, sorry, Tom.
That's fine.
Well,
Okay.
Plaza Way is awkward because of that dysfunctional intersection.
It's the worst
Plaza Way
intersection in
and
town.
The 20-minute
I
light
agree.
switch.
I agree. It has its problem too.
Well, that's-
That makes me not,
Well, to me, it sounds like you wanna keep location on your list, cause Andrea, you said money and library service.
I brought up money in library service,
I
Tom's bringing
said-
up location,
I said
so now we've
location.
got 3
I
criteria.
guess what I need, Andrea, is for you to define library service for me, because I think we're thinking about 2 different things when we hear that.
Well, her first one said get rid of Plaza, there's no service. That has to, that is not gonna provide service.
Yes, I took it off the list right
Right.
away, but it had to
But
be
you
there.
know, but I think it needs to be there because
No.
this community has multiple times said, don't build a library. We don't want anything here. So that has to be on the table, even if none of us like to look at it.
So I need to put that back.
No, for me, I was saying, when we honed down this list, I would take off things that don't provide service. I know there's a group of people that think that
There's
we shouldn't have it, that would save us a lot of money, but I think there's enough on the other side that would like library service. And the last 5 years at Plaza has showed that people will use a library.
Yeah.
So I think we have enough proof that we have support
Well, if you're getting 43, 45 people
a day.
a day in there, that's, you're serving people. Some stores don't get that many.
Yes.
What was the
And if it had
circulation?
more service and more room and more books, you'd get,
1,300 patron visits to Plaza.
so I see the
In the last
justification for why you put it on there, but I think that
Yeah.
we're all in agreement at this point that
We have
we
to
need to
provide
provide service.
Yeah, I saw my function as putting all the options I could think of.
You know,
And-
we're glad you did, and it has been brought up by the community and ourselves, but I think that we all are in agreement, I hope, I don't know, none of us voted on it, but if,
Where
I
are
wanna just look at what the list would look like, there's no voting, there's no, I just wanna see what it would look like if we were within a certain X number of dollars and providing service, and you're saying, and a location that would be serving our taxpayers.
Yeah.
Conveniently.
Easy access.
So my question is, where do you see that location?
So you saw Fire District 4 down there. That's who we're talking about serving. That's who we need to serve, that's.
So below College Place is
So-
the ideal for you.
Well,
To me, the further away we get from there, the worse it is. I don't know what the ideal location is, but I know what it's not.
Okay.
Being
But-
buried over here by the old folks' home is not. This is not off straight away. This is
Yes,
not
but
easy
if,
to get
if
to.
they do come together and actually build something and revitalize the mess down the street,
This-
people will be coming on this street to go there.
This
Yeah,
will be the
we're-
city's third time at bat on that property.
Well,
we still have Shopko there, and Shopko draws a lot of people.
I
We
go
are
to
close
Shopko.
to Shopko. We are on a bus line, you have Meyer Road, 2 blocks down, you have 9th Street, less than a mile? So we're right, it's not off the beaten path here.
The bus line's a plus because that
Yeah.
was part of the. Anybody who walks isn't going to walk this far, but
The
bus
landlord
line's a
making
plus.
changes to the building?
Well, I haven't talked to him about it.
But if you get, I mean,
well, we'd have
We'd
to.
have to.
so then the price is going up.
If we can keep it underneath our.
But I'm sure it's not gonna be what we're looking at the other place.
You
Not
are
that-
sure?
Well, sure.
We're pretty economically well set in this building.
The other people have big bills to pay and mortgages of their own,
As long as this building's got a good roof on it,
so not
it should be
leaking.
okay for a long time.
Yes, it is.
It now
ugly.
has to have
It's
the,
darn ugly, but it certainly could be improved.
I didn't put it on the list as a long-term solution. I put it on the list for 2 or 3 years so that we could keep the money, save more money, and come up with a decision.
our budget doesn't save more money. Our budget doesn't have that in there anymore.
But if you take out,
I mean, we don't have that.
If you took out Plaza,
What we're looking at, the money we have now is the most we're going to have on the model that we're running.
but if you took out the money that you're paying for Plaza right now
Just
and put it in here,
$25,000.
I think that would be wise.
Well, that doesn't increase our operating expenditures. If we take what we're already spending at Plaza, get rid of that, put it into here,
That decreases them.
that's not.
No, but what she's saying is it's only for 2 to 3 years, but what I'm saying is, in 3 years, there's not gonna be something
No,
magical that
no, it'd have
happens.
to be longer than 2 to 3 years.
So whatever we're choosing now,
You can
we're in
still
the
have
best
same
position we're gonna be.
35,000.
because we haven't spent it yet. So if you're gonna do something temporary, why? It's not going to get better.
Right, but then in that case, why would we continue
I mean,
with
we're not gonna-
Plaza at all? It's a temporary solution until we can get enough funding for College Place. And my idea there is that even if you only get $10,000 more a year saved, that's $10,000 more towards College Place in 3 to 5 years.
You got it.
So that's $50,000 over the course of 3 years.
A library is an intended destination, it's not someplace that you go on a whim. Shopko draws a lot of people because they offer what people want. The library draws people because they offer what people want.
So, I mean, I can take it off. It doesn't make any difference.
I like the idea, honestly, because I like the price.
Yeah, the $18,000.
I
The
love
price
the
is good.
And it's not something to turn your nose up against. I mean, it's good. The price is good.
But I
And
would-
honestly, I know you guys all think it's crusty, but there's things about it I really like.
well, nothing's been done to this building for how many years?
I know, and I like old things. I love that wall. It's awesome.
So the,
But if painted, it would be pretty.
No, just like that. It's perfect.
This would be staff. This area here is staff.
Well, this would be where where would you put the,
you have to put your collection.
the part we've got out there? I mean, certainly that would be where you would put,
This would be the meeting room right next to us. Next would be the whole other part, everything that you see that we currently have as staff would be public. Because that's where the restrooms are. And then you would have a locked door here, and you would have a locked door over there.
that would be storage or,
No. We basically fill up
okay.
the space.
But my deal is if you're gonna do it, let's do it for more than 2 to 3 years. I mean, you have
Yeah,
to.
I would say.
We're not
so.
gonna be in a better position in 2 to 3 years. Maybe like you say, in a figure out your thing in 10, 20, 30-year plan to build somewhere or to lease somewhere, but
Well, in the meantime, I think we have to come up with a fundraising plan.
well,
And
yeah,
I
there has to be a plan for that money, but if there's no plan, then in 3 years,
Yeah,
No,
we're not gonna
Yeah.
have a solution different than this.
we are forced because we're a public agency to use the treasurer. So we don't have the option of going and doing anything that might get us more money.
We got our
Well, when it gets us more, if it should get us more money, it gives us more concern about safety of the money, so that's why we can't do it.
But if we're also not spending money on a lease or finding a building for Plaza, we're saving that money to go towards College Place or whatever we decide on, you guys decide on for the eventual Plaza solution.
Does anything prohibit the library from having an endowment fund?
Yeah, we have to have this, the library can't have it, it has to be a standalone thing with its own
501c3.
board.
It can be done, though.
And I think we're moving that way, but I don't know.
If I wanna give you $10,000,
Give it to the
can I
Friends of
do
the Library,
that?
give it to the
Give it
Friends of the
to a-
Library, that's why they have Friends of the Library.
But
Or
you-
you can do a foundation, library foundation,
I would
we can't as a
prefer
library
to
take it.
start a,
I think I would
Like a
start a
foundation.
I think
foundation,
that was
not,
something we were working on.
because each one of the library friends is really representing their little piece of the pie. And
Plaza
they-
has no friends group.
And Plaza has no friends. That doesn't sound right.
Well, the sheriff's office has got its own foundation, and that's helped them a lot.
Yeah,
They've got the dogs that way.
but that's what we'd have to do.
Yeah, that's where they got the dogs, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the
Okay.
fair has got a foundation.
The trick of a foundation though is that has its own board,
Right.
and then they own that money.
That's
Yes.
right.
And they might not have the same vision that someone else does, and if they own that library, there have been problems between foundations and libraries, or even hospitals,
Yes.
all kinds of things, there can be some conflict there.
There's always
So
gonna
it
be
needs to be
worst case
well-
Ideas.
Developed from the beginning, and their mission statement and all that has to be, and frankly, we don't have that.
But you can always have the worst case scenario. I hope we don't ever get, but you need to be aware of it
Yeah.
and plan for it.
and plan for it.
Meadowbrook, I think, I mean, he would probably not negotiate very well, but, you know, we could still go back to Meadowbrook and talk to him. I still have the idea that if you are providing a bigger space, that you need to think about getting rid of the reimbursement card program. Because that provides you $30,000 off the bat. 30,000, 27,000 is $57,000.
So you could have Meadowbrook if you got off that card program. Really, you
And
could
is
afford it.
Meadowbrook gonna be any different than any of the Geesey model, Leafs model of anything else? It's the same concept, you're leasing,
You're
You
leasing.
don't own it.
same concept.
But
Of whether it's
But you
here or
could,
there. or
but you
leased
could
to go.
sustain that. It
Well,
would,
then,
each year, you would be able to afford it if you didn't have the card program.
in 2 or 3 lease cycles from now, if we saw something better come up, or we saw that, you know, we were losing territory and population in that area, then we could pull out. Okay, we're done with this, we're gonna put this money elsewhere.
Are we comfortable if we stay at Plaza getting rid of the,
I am.
What?
if we increase Plaza, getting rid of the book reimbursement program? I mean, the card reimbursement program.
You know,
At what point do we have a big enough library to say this is your library?
if even with, because that's a modest increase to Plaza, I mean, I would be for stepping it down and putting it on a need basis. We've reimbursed cards for people who may or may not even use them, they might just want them. And if we go to a meet or a scholarship basis, then
Okay, last year, we had 47 100 in January, we're down to 47. We went up 6 in February, we're about the same. We went down 1, and we went down a little less than half in April.
So they're not using as much, that's for sure.
people came and got them because they wanted them.
You know what? People came to Plaza and found out it wasn't so bad after all. And they found out they could get books online and get them delivered right to that library. So I think that part of the reason they had such a fit about it in the first place was ignorance. They didn't realize we could service them as well as we can.
That's right, people didn't understand the offerings.
I think it's a discussion we can have.
So, that's because everybody's using overdrive. So,
Which is driving me crazy, but it sure
I know.
does work.
so
What is it?
if we pick Meadowbrook, theoretically, we picked Meadowbrook. It's my favorite as far as aesthetics of space and size. I think it's a no-brainer for everyone that aesthetically is
It's
most
beautiful.
pleasing.
Well, it also fits into,
And I think people would be happy in that space, which is a concern.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Mhm.
without us having to do anything to it.
Do
Very
we,
little remote.
is this the model we use in Fire District 4 and 8? And we now sell our property? Do we hold our property? That's a big chunk of money to hold.
Well,
I mean, if the lease model, is that what we're doing for 10 years, 20 years, 40 years?
Well, it has to
I
be.
don't
In the absence of a plan to make more money, or to not build in one of our little ones and build in College Place, with the absence of a solid idea or plan.
I think in the strip mall,
Yeah,
like that little building is talking about 10, 20, and 40 years that's not responsible. Because we could wind up being the only person there, like
No, it's a lease model, the
the
model
model.
that
The
we're
lease
leasing
model.
from here on. It
But
doesn't
like
have to
you-
be that building.
like you said, you could move
Yeah,
after the lease was up, if you found something better.
And like we already heard from David, because we have a fixed income, there's a fixed amount, it's a sure,
yeah.
predictable expense. I mean, it goes up each month, but when you sign that 5 years, you can then plan for the number of employees and all that for 5 years.
But this is not big enough for service center also, or it is?
No, it's 3,524 square
So then you still
feet.
have
How
the,
big is this building in its entirety?
3,900.
So it's 400 square feet less. It'd be better than what you got now, and it'd be better than Plaza. It's not.
What makes you say that?
It wouldn't be unworkable. Because previously you talked about putting our Plaza in here and the service center, and it's only 400 more feet bigger.
So what, if I heard Tom correctly, it's possible that the service center and plaza could go there.
It's possible.
with the
The,
creative
yeah,
architectural.
but you're paying a lot more
Yeah.
for the same thing.
Right.
Well, is one of these big enough for a library?
For everything.
For everything for the library, leave the rest of it here. Is one of the sections big
If-
enough?
One of them, if both of them are 3524, I don't know that you'd be gaining much.
From Plaza?
Um,
No, probably not.
What is the square footage on Plaza?
you'd be gaining about 200 square feet
Over.
Over Plaza.
over Plaza,
If you
what
only had
Plaza
one of
currently
them.
has.
1,570.
Well,
Meadowbrook is 3524 for the two.
I'm sorry. When you say we're only gaining a small amount over Plaza, that's for both those expanding Plaza. That's not just Plaza as it stands today.
No, she was asking how much if we just did half of Meadowbrook.
Oh, gotcha.
So if you divide it in half, it's
Littler.
1,762,
It's littler than-
1,700 as
It's not
opposed to
big, not
50.
worth the move to be that, I
200
mean,
additional square.
that's not an
Yeah.
option, I'd say. You always want to move for something better.
Is it possible that our end experience with Burbank, Touchy, and Prescott will guide us in the Plaza/College Place decision-making? We've heard some concerns about whether we're really going to stay on budget with construction or not. Personally, I don't think it can happen in Burbank or Touchy, but if it's possible to do a build-to-suit in Prescott, that would tell us if that model has any merit or not. In other words, I think our experience of working with architects at Burbank and Touchy versus working with some unknown entity, Mr. Giese or someone else, to do a modest project in Prescott, and we would learn if that model works.
Prescott,
And that would be leasing in Prescott. We wouldn't be owning in Prescott.
Prescott would be the safest one to do a lease in, because they pay into the district, but they're not part of the district.
So we'd sell the property we have
But yeah,
and
liquidate
someone would buy it.
both of them.
There is a piece of property,
This is what I got excited about.
this,
You were telling me there was another piece of property.
and I did not even take photographs inside because it was really
When I was a little girl,
disgusting.
this was the creamery and the frozen foods. And so everybody's frozen foods were in little cages, and some of them were on second, so you had to have a ladder to get up there. You had to have you had to have a key, or you couldn't open your padlock to your little cage. And this would be awful. This would be awful.
You'd have to
But
level it, just the
the-
building's no
I
good.
think that they said you'd level it and you'd start from scratch. I
Yeah.
don't think,
The lot is level, there's a slight slope down here. The library property is, I'm pointing here, the library property is right over here.
So there's a sidewalk running through there, right? Or is that hard
Yeah.
pack?
That is a
it's
sidewalk.
kitty corner sort of from the
Yeah.
library property.
This is a sidewalk, this is very hard. It's in the city.
I was wondering, since it was a creamery, I don't think there would be any problem with things in the soil like it would be with the service station. But on the other hand, I don't know.
Ask.
You have a couple small stumps, the current owner has been clearing the property. He's invested in.
I think he thought he was going to live there at first.
He was going to put a trailer in there, and then Cecil, the maintenance guy for Prescott, told him he couldn't. He hasn't checked with the city yet. But truly, I mean, he was going to start, and where did it go?
You mean the branch in
Behind,
front?
okay,
You see up there where it says arrange? Oh, you got it.
that's all right. He was going to start by roofing this. There is no floor in part of this. It simply needs to be
Knocked down.
knocked down.
Yeah.
What is that? Do we have a full, that's a whole other building on the property? Or is that the back of the creamery?
This is the back, and it has
What's
this,
that
lean-to
on the
to.
other
it
side?
has a little lean-to, and it goes over here. I don't know if you can. It's truly an ugly piece of property.
Well, I'm looking around right there too.
The piece we own is much better looking piece of property if they can
Yeah.
figure out a way to work around the drainage.
The piece we own, part of the property is up on a hill, and so if you take part of that hill and do a retaining wall, you're forevermore doing maintenance on that. Then you have a slope, and then it goes way down, and then you have the sewer problem. Those-
Septic.
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 Yeah, so those are the concerns on that one. This piece of property is about the same size as the other one. It's higher elevation, it's pretty much level. But they're both the same, I mean, we're talking about across the street diagonally. You know, this one, he told me he paid $30,000 and he owes $10,000. He wants the house that we have, he wants to buy that, and I told him, I said, we paid at least $80,000.
We can't just buy it either
No.
because he has to go for bid. So there's
No,
this-
it can go through a realtor, it can just go regular.
They can go through a broker.
We just count it as surplus, and
Yeah.
then it can go through any sales method.
We don't have to.
No,
put it
no
on.
But we
bidding,
have-
no
no, but we
auction, that's
have-
one method
we-
open to us, but we
Okay,
don't have to use
gotcha.
it.
But
We just have to count it as county surplus, we have to, and then it can go through regular modes of
So-
sale.
But it
There's
has
no
to sell
guarantee
for
that
what
you
we
will.
paid.
That's right, it has
We
to go
can't let it
for
pay
appraised
sell
value
for
plus or
less.
minus
Yeah,
Oh, God.
a certain percent.
yeah. And we would have to buy this one for appraised value. Though right
That's right.
now, I'm thinking that that isn't a plus for us that that building
But
is
we-
standing.
You're
Well,
not talking about us buying it though.
we wouldn't be the purchasers.
Right, if we could find someone else who wanted to purchase that and then do a build to lease.
There, that would work.
So that's the only option for this piece or the other one.
Mhm.
Other than that, this isn't a,
It's not an option
yeah.
to buy
It looks like it's
ourselves.
6 of one and half a dozen of the other, right? If I heard you right.
This,
Yeah, but they're just-
this one would be less invasive for traffic than the other one. Because all summer long, on the other one, you'll have wheat trucks going on the east side of the building. And also, it'll be a little noisier on that side because of.
Good info.
Yeah.
Yeah.
15-year-olds behind the truck.
This is also from the county. He said we could only do public reserve. This is the public reserve. I went out and looked at it. This all seems to be very low. This is the school. And behind the school, it drops off way low. It looks like if the Touchy River gets a little bit too much water, it's going to have a little bit of water standing in there.
Floodplain.
We can only do the
It's
public
not-
reserve without a zoning modification.
Everything else out here is either within the city, which is commercial, and we're already there,
Okay,
or agricultural, which we can't do.
which, yeah.
Okay, what's that, see the little, see the Northwest Grain Growers elevators there, there's the circular things
This,
over on the right-hand side, no, over
No, in the middle,
on, in
up,
the middle on the right.
go right, go right, go right, up a little bit, up, up,
Up, a little
The
bit further,
UFO looking things.
go down.
down, there.
See Railroad
Okay.
Avenue?
Now, see the road right there? Go back up that road and turn to the south. Okay, right in there. That area right there, see those circles?
Mhm.
That's
Okay.
where the Northwest Grain Growers puts their piles,
Okay.
so that they're not there right now, but every year if there's too much wheat, that's where they go. I'm not sure that'd be the safest place to be anybody close to a bunch of kids.
where's the library property from there?
See what it, now you go back up,
Follow the road up.
turn D Street.
Okay, there I am, where's D Street?
Go right.
I think it's straight
Yeah, no,
up,
go right, no, right there.
There.
right there.
Isn't it?
Yeah, but you gotta go a little bit further now.
Up here?
That, it's right there, right
Here,
there.
that's it,
That's it,
that corner, that green corner.
that green corner. And the present library is just up D Street. To
In
the,
that strip of buildings there.
in that strip of buildings. So that's where we are right now.
So where's that grain,
Okay,
the
now,
creamery?
Bobby, just go back up, right there now, go to the west on your road, on there. Now, it's
Right there.
right in there. Now, right behind that is a very ugly bunch of trailer stuff. That's not pretty.
Yeah, the white trailer is here. There's a trailer here.
The corner where we are is much more attractive as far as the neighbors.
Looks like as long as we're in the area, we're gonna be able to service our patrons, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's anywhere in that green area, or Main Street there, E Street. You guys' Main Street's the highway that just drives through.
Main Street's the highway.
Which is up at the top there.
And that's, why don't you go ahead and point out the Knights of Pythias Hall that's on sale, that's for sale. Right,
Okay, so
right.
there's D Street. There's, I don't think it goes up.
Oh, it doesn't,
It's right over here.
yes.
It's fairly close, so.
But
Yeah.
it's on the highway, and there's no parking, except around to the back. It's also a can of worms as far as how much money you would put into it. It's just,
Yeah, we were told that it had been remodeled some.
do you want, Monday, can you show any of those
See if I can.
pictures?
We'll give this a shot.
The man who bought this piece of property from the people who had the secondhand store was an artist, and he envisioned that he would do his art on the main floor, and he'd live upstairs.
Betsy, could you type in your password? God, I wish Prescott didn't have so many patrons, this would be really easy.
Just because
It
you're,
would be, no,
just because
Okay,
you're
on
from
your phone.
Tushy.
not at all. You guys are getting,
I found a modular genius for Washington State.
Okay, good.
540 patron visits. That's not
That's
bad.
a,
That's a lot of people.
that's a lot of people for a person.
Considering there aren't that many who
How
live
big-
there.
What's the square feet of
No,
what
we
we're
have
for in a
people
modular building?
every,
For 325
every
people.
week that
That
comes
counts.
multiple times.
Yeah,
It's just the same thing that happens in Tushy's and
Tushy the same thing.
Plaza.
Will it open?
I'm, okay.
Okay.
I'm just guessing.
but back to Plaza, so I need a dollar figure. I need to know about the reimbursement card.
Well, a decision about,
We just need decisions.
a decision about
With
Plaza is that
two
you've got
restrooms,
till
Okay.
December and our lease is up.
Right, and in the meantime, he needs to know before, because the other people's leases are up in August. And so he needs to know within the next month, 2 months, because he has to
Use up some of that
negotiate and
square
switch people around.
So,
Could you try clear,
I was just looking which folder you were
clear
in.
down in the more?
So basically, we need some
If I got
decisions,
this one.
basic decisions to move forward
Okay.
and do anything.
Sorry.
Okay,
I don't,
second, I'm giving you one.
Can you go to the next one?
Let's see.
This was, that thing there, when I came in, there was a cardboard box stuffed into a window, and that was my mother's signature on it. And she's been dead since 1986.
oh my goodness, Patsy.
But, and you know, the building's been, she hasn't been there for years, so I suppose it was sometime
If I'm
in
going the right
the
direction.
30s or 40s that they
Looks like we are.
fixed a hole in the wall with a cardboard box.
This is the first floor,
Second floor.
second floor?
That was the lodge room, see the,
Oh, the door back there, yeah.
this.
this is almost too much
How soon do
room.
we need?
It's
It's
huge.
about 3,600 square
It's
feet
just
of
a,
floor.
it's just a shame
Even,
that it's in such bad shape.
even
It's
if
so
it were
big.
in good shape, that would require upping our staffing model if they're significantly to.
Well, the problem here is you've got stairs. We're talking upstairs right now. That's all upstairs. There's some, Wendy, there's some pictures of downstairs. But you can see, what the other problem here is they tore out all the lath and plaster, but that's knob and tube wiring. And so that means the entire building would have to be rewired. We're talking big bucks here. It's out of, and that's the stair.
Lots of old materials.
So, as you can
So we looked at it, it doesn't have a septic, and
Minor detail.
where the septic
At least.
was,
you have to turn your head for that
would
one.
be the drive that you would want to use in order to get back to the back of the park. And they said the drain field would have to go there, so you would lose all your parking. So it's not a viable,
This is a dead stub.
And there's a basement.
Haunted house.
And the basement's about like this too, only it was
the
big.
basement was really nice, other than the flattened dead mice.
Right in there, where, I took the picture of that because that's the septic, that we think is the drain field. The septic tank's out in there, and then that would be where you would park, but you'd have to move the drain field. It's just a mess, don't even, as far as I'm concerned.
Who brought this to you? Did
Some
somebody
people
bring
in
it up?
Uh,
town.
Yeah.
It's been empty for quite a
Who
while.
owns the building?
His name is Jacob Hashimoto.
Did he bring it to you?
No.
Oh, then it's not even,
No, somebody on the city council brought it to me.
Yeah, the city council,
There it
this
is.
was the front of the building and the side and the back.
God, it's a cool looking building.
It really
It
is,
is.
it's a nice building, I love the balcony, it just doesn't work. But they brought that to us thinking that we could put admin in there as well as the,
That would take care of the staffing model problem.
It's the same problem as the church, it opens up onto the street.
It's right on the street.
If we had the church for $1, I mean, it's not a problem.
this was the other one that was, I feel I have to bring this to you so that you know what the citizens in Prescott are bringing to the library.
Is everybody trying to sell their house to us? Is that what I'm saying?
Yes, you are. But he came up with several different, this is 129,000.
No,
This was the other one, it's 239,000.
that's a house that's about built into 1910.
It is on the National Historic Register, which to me tells me I don't wanna touch it.
You
I've
don't wanna
already-
touch it.
I've
You
already
don't
been
have
through
to
that
do any
nightmare.
kind of remodeling
Don't wanna
without
touch that.
Yeah.
permission.
This was the property I just showed you in Prescott,
So we're still looking at
and
what we
this
have.
is
This
what
is our
we
existing
have.
property.
Yes. Working with the current location. This is our current floor plan. Jessica came up with remodeling the floor plan to make it work a little bit better. Since she did this, we have taken this shelf here and it's been put, the shelves come here, so it's been put here and it's opened up all of this.
It's made it quite a bit fatter.
This is what we have.
Just in
already.
moving
This is
one
what we
bookcase,
have.
just in moving that one bookcase helped a lot.
So-
The furniture's still very shabby, but I think everybody likes the way she moved the one bookcase.
Yeah, there are a few things here with ADA that we're taking care of. She had problems about the magazine rack. I went out and I talked to her after I got her proposal, and we are getting magazine and things like that and rugs squared away. That's not something we need to move a building for. But she did come up with another design that would work in the space that we have. She worked a lot with the different furniture, and she came up with an estimate of a little bit over $6,000 to replace some of the furniture that we have that is in bad shape.
Is this in lieu of
Yes.
working on the building?
This was what Pacific Mobile had given me, and this was Jessica's idea, if we got a Pacific Mobile. This is one of their buildings, this is
2,800
another
square
one.
feet.
The one on the left looks a lot about
Again,
the
for
same
just
size
one
as
person.
Tushy.
What am I looking at here? So you have
And
your
they didn't
staff-
give you a quote on that one?
No, because I couldn't tell them yet if we want to build to lease, build to own, lease an old building, an older one that they have, if we wanted a 3 to 5. I have to be able to give people,
hard numbers.
Well, we
Yeah,
need to know the
something.
numbers of those. How can we pick it until we know what they're?
Well, we need to know.
that's
how
what I
much.
did. I asked him for options for all three,
Yeah.
and that's when they dropped off the face of the earth.
Okay, well, I have another one for you to call.
Okay.
So this isn't too bad, it's just huge.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we can go bigger, it's just you don't wanna go too big because you only have one person working there. And we can't afford to
So
put two.
what was
And
the
you
name of the
have
guy
open
that I
spaces
always
you can't have.
forget, that
I
was
see several close spaces.
Anderson Perry?
Is that one?
He was out there with us. What's his name?
You don't even.
Anderson Perry?
The guy that,
Just to see, because it's on like this.
Howard.
Howard
Why
Boggs.
can I not remember his name? He did not make it sound insurmountable, the drain filled and the parking lot and all that, if we took the building down.
Yeah,
He felt like that property was fine.
okay. But see, I totally missed
No,
that.
I was with, you weren't
No,
there, but
yes,
when
he
Howard,
said-
he said your only problem is keeping the house there. If we could demo that house, all your problems fall away with your
Okay.
storm drain, your parking, your septic, then he's fine, all solvable. So tearing down the building and putting a modular, we
Which,
need to know the prices of the lease or lease to own or used and all that, but if we had those numbers, we could compare it versus building versus getting rid of it completely and somebody else doing it. We need to see all the numbers on a chart and then hopefully it becomes clear to us. But I think that's the next step, don't you? But I don't think that piece of property we own is a problem if we demo. That's,
Okay.
unless there's been more information since Howard was out there.
I like that piece.
But
of
he's the one who's
property
looked at it the most.
Then can I tell the person who is trying to sell us the green monster that we are not interested?
We have enough headaches, thank you.
We're not
Okay,
interested.
because that's, I need to be able to move forward and get these people out of.
And finding someone who wants to purchase there and build will, it's
Be
not
hard.
necessarily in their best interest to go to Prescott, sorry, but the numbers are,
No,
the
no, I
population is
agree.
325 for years.
No, but,
So for them to make an investment in Prescott is not going to be the same people who are willing to do that in Walla Walla.
That's true.
And so to find that perfect person and then have it, they're gonna have to charge an arm and a leg, because no one else is gonna lease that building except us. So
It'll be empty.
I just don't think financially, but I mean, I'm just guessing. This is completely a guess, I could be wrong. But I'm not sure how far we wanna go down that avenue either. When we already have options in front of us, we own a piece of property there.
Okay, so what I need to know from the board is, do you want all other options taken off the board and just work with that piece of property? Because that way, when people keep coming to me, I can say, we will be developing this piece of property.
Okay, so
Unless
that's
something
gonna
really
require a
sweet
board
comes around.
vote, because we have not, we've decided for Touchy, correct? And we've decided for Burbank, the direction we're going. But Prescott's, for 6 months, has been in this, let's look at all our options, because we don't wanna spend the money
Now,
without knowing
in
exactly what
this,
we're doing.
in all these things, is there also, you've got purchase a modular and put on it ourselves, is that in that list?
Lease a build-to-suit modular building, build-to-suit lease, all those leases can go.
So this
Construct a
this
stick
contact that
building.
I'm giving
Number four.
Bobby,
Yeah,
they will
number four.
tell her the
Okay,
difference
okay,
between buy,
all
rent
right.
to own, lease. They give you an option on here. Do you wanna buy it? Do you wanna lease it? What? So if you just talk to them, maybe even have someone come talk to us.
But building a modular building there, constructing and owning it, would be way less expensive than building a stick building.
Yeah.
You would hope, you would really
You
hope
would
so.
hope so.
Well, and one of the reasons it is because something built off-site and moved there is not subject to the prevailing wage
Oh.
that we would normally be subject to. So that's part of the savings.
They're factory buildings, so they're built.
Or we still have the Touchy building, we can just move it to Prescott.
There's that.
Without getting some educated eyes on that building.
Square
It's
footage
bigger than
wise,
what
what's
they
the
have.
difference?
It's 1,600, I think, is what.
I think that's about right.
Well, if we as a board decide on, we're building or we're doing a modular unit, but we're sticking with that property, we can move forward with this, getting the land prepped, which is demo the building first. We don't need to know where the drain field sits yet, because we don't know where the modular unit sits, because we don't know how big it is, but there are some steps we can move forward on, if we could get a decision.
Right, well, the decision for Prescott, what really is hinging on that is the scope of the project for the architect.
Right.
And we cannot move forward without the scope for Prescott, part of the contract. Either that or else we need to drop Prescott from the contract at this point, so we can move forward with the
Because
other
we're at a
two.
standstill, yes.
Yes,
So
so,
can
that
you-
seems favorable to me. I think we should encourage the architect to move forward with the two projects. We've already decided that.
Well, could you also have the architect move forward only with the prepping the lot?
See, that's,
No.
that's part of it, is this
No.
You
modular
can't do
genius
it?
wants to know if you have an architect that's doing the grading and getting it all prepped for you.
Why not?
Well-
Just explain.
If we're going to use Prescott as our safety valve, one
Sample.
project that is not with the architect, so that we find out if we really like this process or not, then that would be my suggestion, is that there's lots of ways to get people in there to demo and level and all of that. Maybe even local people can do that, I'm not sure.
I would imagine.
So
It has to go out to bid and all that.
demolition comes in under budget typically.
Depends on how much, isn't it?
Does that have to go out to bid, or can we just call?
is it all by itself and that's all we're doing, or are we doing prep? I mean, if it's the start of, it has to go out for bid with the entire project if it's included with the architect. If we have separated it out,
Just demolition and clearing.
yeah, then
No,
that-
then we need a drain field, and we need, there's a lot more prep work than
But you
just
do,
demo.
but you do
But-
it piecemeal, huh?
The demo's the first.
Well,
But the demo is the first part.
Right, but when you can't do piecemeal, if your plan is to do the whole thing, then you have to bid the site work out as well as the building.
And how are we working on the lot in
But
College Place? without
I really
working
can't
that
see
out?
us using
Because we're
our,
not doing anything. What we're
We're
doing is,
removing stumps, we're clearing property. Is that counted differently?
We don't have
We're
the
not-
architect in there.
We don't have the architect in there, we're not doing the whole lot. All we're doing is taking a stump out, which at this point I've made up my mind, I'm just going to bulldoze the dirt around the stump and leave it there until we have a contractor who can come in and clear that whole lot.
So we couldn't have the
They
house
couldn't
torn
chip it?
down and then have the thing graded by
He
hand?
cut off his finger.
Oh.
It was being sewn on when I called him.
Oh dear. Okay,
I
so,
would think at this point, we've almost talked ourselves into the fact that we don't want the architect to here in this situation. Because, for Prescott, because we can't afford to have the architect and that kind of a building.
I don't know, how much more work is it? Because if we're talking about bringing in a modular and dropping it on there, is this something that, do we have to have an architect to
They will
grade the
design it.
property?
No,
destroy
and the people that do modulars will have their own contractors that can clear the property or prep it, you know, including septic, et cetera, but I think the site work, they would have to pay prevailing wage on. The off-site work, they wouldn't, that could still be significant savings for us.
but we I think we need to know what that money is before we,
Make the-
Yeah, because if it is, if
because
it's,
I have
a lot.
heard that modulars end up being very similar in some cases to building.
So there is that
And then
side
there's
of
not
it.
the efficiency for the electricity and all that, because you're,
well, then, if
You
it's,
have your
if
same
it's that way,
insulation.
then I wouldn't,
that's why I'd like to look at the number. We can't decide just on guessing. We have
No.
to know.
no.
And unfortunately, Pacific Mobile let us down. We have to let it go and move on to someone else, because we never got the information. So, I think we can't make,
But we can't
We
really
have to
tell
see
the,
numbers.
we can't tell the architect what we wanna do either at this point.
So we can't move
well, no,
forward.
we can add Prescott in. I'm sure they'll take our business.
I
you know-
think we should revise the architect's scope to Burbank and Tushy so that they have a direction. And like Andrea says, if we end up adding Prescott in, great, fantastic. Everyone will be happy.
I think we would have a time limit on when we could add
Yes.
Prescott in.
For that price and all the contract and all that.
Well, there would be a price in there. That would be negotiated again.
Well, I think we'll only have a better or more knowledge of our working relationship with the architect at that point in time. That's in our favor.
Okay. I can't talk to the architect unless the board decides
Mm-hmm.
with a motion that you want Prescott dropped for now, to be added later, however you want to phrase it, or just to move forward with the project with Burbank and Tushy.
We already moved forward with Burbank and Tushy, or
No.
did we just decide what we wanted
We
to
agreed
do?
to do them, but we were still
never-
holding until we made a
Okay.
decision on Prescott, but we still
Perfect.
have some question marks, because we had the whole, who were the people that own the I'm going blank.
It doesn't matter.
The other issue we've had on Main
Yes.
Street, keeping
Oh,
the building,
yes.
yeah, we
Yeah.
had all that
In the
question
lands.
marks. We've laid that to rest, now we have a few other questions.
No, they haven't given up hope.
I know. You know, and I like that we're looking under every stone and every option, but at some point, we need to make our decisions and go. Okay,
Are there so many people using the Prescott Library that it really doesn't function?
There are 540 people last month, and take into account that they're not open every day. How many days a week are they open?
3,
3 days a week, so 3 by 4, in 12 days,
4,
right?
4 days.
4 days.
They're
no,
open 4 days a
no,
week?
they're not open 4 days a week, are they?
They're open Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
So there's 4 days a week, so in
But-
16 days, they had 540 people rolling in and out of those doors. And that's just by their paper count. But
So I think when I did the math.
And they
on
have the highest per capita books per year.
that's what my comment was
Double
earlier, that if they had fewer
They don't
patron
have
visits, this
library.
would be a
They
way
do
easier
a
decision, but
lot.
they
Yeah,
don't.
more than any other community.
And it is a
the
community in
lifeblood of
need
the
of a library.
It's very definitely in need. But the,
As we can see
you were
in the
asked,
property
somebody
photos.
asked about space. Well, one of the problems is if they try to run any kind of a program, you're right in the middle of the books. There's just, you're sitting in the
So
middle of it.
And they ran 14 programs last month, which is, that means they went 4 days without a program. I don't, depending on what the programming is, it could be just story time to the kids, it could be a craft, it could be whatever.
Some of it was those
Uh,
things.
just with my library down the street from me, if I go in there and a craft is running, I go home. Just because it's easier on the librarian, it's easier on the patrons, and
We're losing a lot.
There's not enough room to do what
Yeah.
you need to do.
Yeah, well, that's what happens at
It really
Prescott.
functions
They-
as a community center
It's a
and
community
library.
center.
Well,
It really is.
it functions as one or the other, because if it's doing one, it can't do the other.
That's true, when the people come in,
There's
they.
one
they-
employee in there,
Yeah.
so this
There's
is
some volunteers that help with the programs,
excellent.
but still, it's too small to have a program and have people come in and try to even do things on the computer.
Yeah.
So our trick is balancing, how much money do you put into a community of 325? And on the other hand, it's the most used, most loved, most attended per capita of all our libraries, most supported.
And I think if you don't do anything, just leave them with the storefront they have, they'll be really discouraged because they use it so much.
Yeah,
But
no,
they'll also feel bad if Tushy and Burbank get something and they don't. They're like little
Will
kids.
they be discouraged enough to stop contracting with us?
No,
Well,
I don't,
that's the difference, is
I'm
that they
not
never
sure.
voted in to be
They might, they
part of the
might,
fold.
actually. But you see, I use that library.
Absolutely.
I'm not part of the contract.
No, I don't think the question, we're not gonna go back to the question of do we do something for them? We all have agreed, the
Yes, by
the
all
library, that's already been a board vote, we want to do
We've had it for
something.
10
It's just
years.
what
Over
can
10
we
years.
afford to provide?
Yeah, and I don't know if you need to go as big as what you were planning.
Well, the modular units we're looking at on this one, there's a 1440, and what was the other one, a 26?
22 something.
Yeah, 22.
Yeah.
And ask us to get
2263.
our current square footage and
So you get the price of somewhere in that range.
It's real low, like 900 maybe.
So
It's
1440
900, I
would be
think,
a
isn't
huge
it?
increase for them.
900 and something?
Yeah.
That's still awfully hard to put programming and computers and do library business in that small of a space.
Yeah, the problem is as a patron, you come in, there are 3 computers, you wanna get on the computer, you have to have the librarian's over here with the children's program, she can't just quit the children's program and go over there. At the same time, you've got someone who wants to check out books,
Why do you need a librarian to get on the computer?
because they always have problems.
It's pretty common, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it has to be that way, but
No, it's Richland Public Library, they don't, they have a little slot where they put the card in.
That's Sam.
I'm just,
Yeah.
Is that Sam?
I like the one where you come in and hit the space bar.
And you check yourself out too, which is
Yeah.
nice. You don't need to.
And we gave Tushi a computer so that, and a scanner, so she could do self-checkout and try it out.
Yeah, I like self-checkout.
But we don't need a huge building in Prescott.
So,
No,
with board approval, and if you let the architect know that we have a go on Burbank and Tushy within the next week or so, what would be, in your estimation, what would be a start date for construction? Just so we can all kind of see how
We don't
that,
have a contract.
so, but
We have
how,
a
it takes a while to
contract.
get those steps all in
Mhm.
place?
So this is the middle of May. I'm thinking August before we could go out for bid. Because you've got a contract, so, and well, actually, probably July before we got a contract, because you have to go through the board cycle, and you have to go back and forth between the two. So then, once we have the contract, no, we're looking next year, because then he's gotta have time to design 2 libraries. So we're talking,
next spring.
Spring.
Yeah.
You could break ground in the spring.
Okay.
So with that in mind, since there is a fairly lengthy process before we can begin construction, then does that mean we have time to investigate Prescott further before we tell the architect? Start in on Burbank and Tushy?
we need to tell him that we'd like to move forward on Burbank and Tushy, that we want to put Prescott on hold as we explore more options there. We may need to add Prescott to the contract so that we would have another month to 2 months in order to explore.
Okay. I like that.
Why'd you make a motion?
Make your first motion.
Can we make a motion? Now it's, have you opened up the other meeting?
Even on the
We're
regular one.
under the first meeting.
You have it on the
It's
first one?
Yeah, it's still on, it's on there as a
We're behind the schedule.
discussion on the building program. Yeah, we're able to do it in this one. Go ahead.
So I would like to move that Bobby contacts the architect to proceed with Burbank and Tushy, holding Prescott at the present time.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Now, you need to read it back and make sure we have it correct.
Recorded.
Oh, okay. Did you
The
talk?
magic of recording.
Okay.
Okay.
Who seconded, Tom? We move forward.
Which means the construction contract committee will need to be starting to meet.
Mhm.
Because the next thing on our agenda is subcommittee work.
Yeah, because I
So
don't know.
construction contracts will start meeting, the salary structure people are gonna start meeting. I think the end of the month we'll have something started.
Since we're already 35 minutes late, I think we have to figure the subcommittee work has to be done outside of this meeting.
Yeah.
That's so fine, yeah, that's okay.
Meet at the end of the month.
Well, that's in the other agenda too.
Oh, it is?
I put it in both, because I wasn't sure.
Oh, okay, so let's adjourn.
Okay.
Adjourn our first meeting at 5:35.